Hey, what's going on, everyone? It is David Pomerleo King and Rich Lopp here for the Awakening Experience. All lies will be exposed 2024. We're getting ready for an eclipse, the big one. I don't know if you've been seeing, but there are so many stories now coming out about this eclipse, even the rarity of it being that it'll be 99% of Americans will be able to at least see partially it. Of course, if you come out to the event that we're doing, don't miss it. Out in Bastrop, Texas, go to teamlightstore.com/events. Of course, we're going to be doing it with all the folks at Team Light and all the other peeps. And I'm here with Rich Lopp. What's going on, Rich?
What's up,
dude?
How
are you, bro?
I'm just trying to figure out this damn weather here in Southern California, man. That's one lie that I'm hoping will be exposed because, you know, the talk around most Californians about what's been going on here lately is kind of referring to something possibly a little bit more sinister when it comes to this weather, maybe. Cloud seeding, I'm guessing. Because, you know, I can't figure this climate out. It's so weird because we first moved here a year ago.
Yeah.
And it felt like it didn't turn warm until fucking May. And I was like, God damn. So I guess there's just one long ass summer and then one long ass winter because fucking it was 80 degrees on Christmas.
Right.
You know, and now here we are, it's piss pouring rain, you know, but the funny thing about it is it's weird rain because it's not humid. When it rains, I have some decks of tarot cards that will not shuffle at all. Well, it'll be pouring like these damn golf ball size raindrops and it's still very dry. And I don't know, man. I can't figure it out. You're pretty sure that it's cloud seeding that's going on?
Yeah, I mean, actually, it was in the SoCal local news and even ABC7, everything, and that they put it out that Los Angeles County, Orange County, San Diego County, all of them were like, yeah, we're experimenting with the weather. We're cloud seeding.
Oh, so they've said
they admitted it. So like when all lies are being exposed, like, oh, no, we don't mess with the weather. Oh, no, you know what? Yeah, we are. And they just did it nonchalantly. Like, yeah, this was like 3 weeks ago. And then we had that atmospheric river where it was the most rain ever recorded in history of California. And then just look at this weekend up north, 12 feet of snow. People couldn't even open their doors.
Oh.
You know, but, you know, it's like, oh, then they use the whole thing like, oh, yeah, because there was a drought. So we wanted to help. So they use like, they push always the fear narrative and then they erase that. They're not talking about the positive thing. Like, well, now all of Arizona and Nevada and all the lakes, like, you know, remember they were saying about Vegas, oh, there's going to be no more water in Lake Mead. And then they were showing the boats and the dead bodies that the mob fucking had put in, you know, and now it's like, nobody's talking about that the water levels have been rising like massively from these storms over the last 2 years. But it's almost like they use that as the excuse maybe. Yeah. So they like put the fear out when they're like, oh, we have a solution. And then by the way, we're using like silver nitrate and all these things that are pretty toxic to human beings. But, you know, don't worry. The weather is more important than human beings.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like, fucking.
Well, I didn't know. I guess that shows you how little I watch the news. I didn't know that they were saying it. I mean, I've heard everybody talking about, oh, the cloud seeding. And it's not that I didn't believe it. It's, you know, just that normally, I don't know. I guess 2024 is the year that they just come straight out and say, yep, this is what we're fucking doing. You know?
Right.
That shouldn't surprise me. That kind of shocked me that you just now said that. So, okay. Well, maybe I should just quit trying to figure this fucking weather out then. I don't know. Other than that, everything's going good. Again, been here for a year now in SoCal. And it's starting to kind of feel like home a little bit. Starting to, kind of. At least the energies are starting to shift in such a way that I feel a little bit more rooted and stable. So, going good, I guess.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I was going to say, like, the whole cloud seeding thing wasn't a big surprise to, I think, many people. Like, it was kind of, like, I think that's what maybe will be fun to go into today's topic about all lies being exposed is, like, there's stuff that's being exposed where it's like, yeah, knew that one, you know? And it's kind of like, some people make a big deal about it, but not as many people because I think everybody's kind of like, yeah, we figured that out already. And then there's, like, the unbelievable lies that I think we could be talking about. And there's a lot of weird ways that this can go. But I think that the importance about this is because a lot of this is about manipulation, and also to teach people spiritually, like how to not be manipulated. Like, I forgot the guy's name, but we were just both ironically in the same day. His video popped up, that ex-CIA agent, and he's giving advice to people in their lives. Well, at the same time, I thought it was, and maybe you have a different opinion, but I feel like it's like then he's using the tactic on people at the end of why he wants to leave America by 2030. And I'm like, so he's kind of seeding a message too for people in a weird way. But I think it's important to cover how manipulation is used, and then how it also could be used as a weapon against people saying they're manipulating when they're not.
Yeah.
Right? It's really interesting. And then, of course, there's that part in our own lives where it's like, how much can you really trust? Because I think like the hardest lies would be to be some truth channels have been manipulating you, because they took backdoor deals to push an agenda to get where you want to go. I mean, it can go in all directions, but I think that the worst is to see how much manipulation's been running amok. Whether it's all of our lives to the condensity of the last 4 years. I mean, and even why do some people just keep running a manipulative tactic and don't change course on it is because people feel emotionally pulled in, like they feel a frequency match with the manipulation, which maybe that's where we could start is why do you think people feel matched up when are they manipulative within themselves, or are they more cognitive dissident? Like what makes somebody spiritually want to connect and continue to connect with a manipulation and believe it's true?
Because we've been conditioned. Because we've been conditioned for so many years to be addicted to negative emotions, and this has been going on for decades and decades. I think we talked about this on a show before that humans are. Well, I've heard people make the argument that humans are naturally negative. I've even heard some neuroscientists claim that we naturally gravitate towards negativity, and I don't believe that's true. We're conditioned. Decades and decades and decades of music, movies, TV, and media has conditioned us to latch on to drama and anything that pisses you off and anything that makes you mad, anything that scares you, anything that puts you in fear, any kind of negative emotion. We've been conditioned to latch on to that. And I don't think that when people do this, for the most part, I don't think they're doing it consciously. I think they're doing it unconsciously. They don't realize they don't have that inner guidance system, because in order to not be manipulated, you have to be able to feel when somebody's poking at your feelings. For some reason, I've always been hypersensitive to that. Hypersensitive. That's why a lot of times I don't really get along with water signs very well. Right. Because like if I'm talking to you, when you start poking at my feelings, I can feel that immediately. And whenever somebody starts poking at your feelings, you have to step back and say, what reaction are you trying to get out of me? Because, when you get your feelings poked, you're going to react to it. You're going to have some sort of response. There's going to be something is going to come from you, and it's usually intentional. If I'm going to poke at your feelings, I'm doing that on purpose. And usually I'm doing that to get a certain reaction out of you, to start steering you in a certain direction. And I don't know, I've always been very, very hypersensitive towards that. That's the reason why anytime, I don't care if it's a video that I'm listening to or a person that I'm talking to, if I start feeling my emotions being tugged on, you can kind of tell when somebody's tugging at your emotions. And, like you was talking about with the who was that with Sarah McLachlan and the
puppies, the whole
puppies.
PETA thing that they did. Yeah. And all those puppies were already dead. And
that's a really extreme example of it, but you see it all throughout music and TV and media where they're poking at your emotions. And most people don't stop when they feel that emotional poke and step back and say, okay, where's this going? What direction are you trying to pull me in? Most people just go right along with it, and they just...
Well, I think that's what makes it so difficult, is because when you're emotionally poked, emotions take over so much. Like it's hard to, and that's why in old alchemy, especially in the practice of Hermeticism, which is mercurial, and where the best of astrology has ever been, is because, and especially a tarot reader would have to do the same thing, is you can't come into it with an emotional bias to the reading, right? So even if on the other side, the person that you're giving a reading to is crying and they're going through this is what the astrology, this is what the cards are saying, this is the way that the universe is showing a way through this. Yeah. I'm not going to, jump on the fucking, crybaby boat with you and steer it where you want to go, which is why you came to me, because that's ending up in a fucking cesspool that's starting to go into a whirlpool down to the bottom of the fucking ocean. Yeah. But I think it's hard for us as human beings to get out of a place, because once we're connected to something and it's poking at us, it's hard to kind of like wake yourself up out of that. It also is where I think the human condition is so weird, because, it's kind of like informal to just be like, well, hold on. Before I even react, I need to process or something, it's like, and it's always done when you're not really paying attention. That's why subliminal messaging is happening in a whole new fashion, I feel, with social media. It's like we're flashing by things so quick that we're not picking up the new stuff. It used to be like, okay, late night TV and okay, these kind of commercials came on, and you would almost laugh because you were starting to pay attention to. It's like, who's up at 3 a.m. and you're with your buddies and you're 19 smoking weed? Like, who wants to buy paper towels right now? Or who wants to buy, fucking George, what was his name? The fucking grill, fucking George Foreman and his grill, like right now. Maybe they do know that we're all smoking and we spill a lot, so we need paper towels, and we maybe want to grill. It's like, oh, maybe that is why that the late ones are that. But there's it's when you're getting manipulated emotionally is always when you're not expecting it, and then it's to get a reaction, and it could be used against you, whether it's to gain something from you, to have you buy something, or to have you react to then put you in a power position over you and be like, see, look at this is what you're doing, So there could be guilt associated with it. And I think the guilt part has been what we've been seeing in the world the most through the last 4 years, right?
Yeah,
like they kind of did guilt trips for many decades, but it didn't affect who you were as a person. They were, like people were just be you, do what you gotta do, like, but now it's gotten super, I always call it like that game Operation, like, but you can't even play that game anymore. Like you're trying to pick a little bone a little organ out of Operation.
Yeah. Look, see, the guilt trips got so crazy that when it came to the whole wearing mask thing, I've even met people who said, no, I don't really believe that masks keep you safe, but I don't want to make anybody else feel unsafe. So it's like they've guilt tripped you into playing along with the little delusion that they bought into. That's how deep the guilt trips, like that energy, its tentacles fucking got into every little aspect of your personality and your thought process, and tried to steer the fucking narrative in a whole different direction, and yeah, it's gotten really crazy. But now, like I said, I think the good news is they went so extreme with it, they overplayed their hand, and now it's so obvious. I think, of course, I have this bad habit where sometimes, because I live in my own little bubble world, sometimes I kind of have a tendency to think that everybody else thinks like me, if that makes sense. Like, oh, I see it so clearly, so obviously everybody else does. So I'm hoping that that's not what I'm falling into this time. But from what I'm seeing, it really genuinely does look like people are awake, and they're continuing to do shit that wakes people up over and over and over. Like I said it last time, and I'll say it again this time. My prediction is that all year long, they're going to be blasting Trump's winning, Trump won California, Trump won Alabama, Trump won Indiana. And then election day, bam. Oh no. Oh, something happened. All of a sudden it switched in the middle of the night and Biden wins, you know, so something to that effect. And so the public's going to be like, no, that's straight up bullshit. So I don't know, man. I'm antsy. I can't wait.
I am too. I'm especially, you know, this is a really, 2024 is already the oddest year celestially, planetary. That's why I called it this year the cosmic phenomenon. We started off this year with a new moon with Pluto, and then we started off with a second in Aquarius when Pluto had went in Aquarius. Another, so to have back-to-back new moons with this Pluto in different signs is already a mathematical, the hardest new moon to have, because Pluto's the farthest planet out. So that means like it takes 248 years to come around the sun. So for it to be changing signs and to have the new moon be with the changing of the signs in between is crazy. Then now the new moon that we're going to have this weekend is with Saturn and Neptune. The last time that happened was back in 1988 when it had just, the sun had come into Capricorn and Saturn and Neptune had come together. What's weird is it's like these, and then we come into the total solar eclipse. It's going to go through America. But the next new moon, right? So it's like every new moon just keeps being this powerhouse rarity, right? I'm like, oh, fuck. And I always think of new moons as like, if we're talking about a movie, right? It's like, okay, a scene of the month, right? That's what the sun and the moon, the relationship is with the earth. Every scene of every month is getting more dramatic and more intense throughout the year. So I'm like, oh, okay. And especially that total solar eclipse that we're going to go to is like where the reel in the middle of the film, they try a whole new, they like cut it and then they like taped on a whole new like reel or a whole new way or a whole new timeline, if you want to put it that way, or a whole new experience that we've never seen before. So when that gets to that place in the film of this year, it's going to be like, what the fuck? But I'm really interested before this. It's really rocky this week. And to see that Joe Biden is going to, in the crazy weirdness that we've been seeing from this guy, do a State of the Union address. I just feel like it's setting up for the beginning of those dynamics, whether it's the way, and I think it's a very high probability of what you're saying, right? Like that would be a way to really frustrate the fucking world and people, right? But even more so, it's going to be the stuff they do that make Biden feel worse until that period, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I feel like that's where the manipulation already is going to be, like the State of the Union. And then I was noticing, you know, in the old days, they didn't have a state in the union. It was just that in the Constitution, it states that, you know, the president can address Congress. So he used to be a letter to Congress in the old days. Then TV and film came out. So it was like, okay, the president was like, hey, let's start making this a fucking thing, right? Where I could actually make a big speech and get everybody and people could see the government and feel the government, right? Well, this is the first time it's this like late, right? We're already in March, right? So it's like, okay, this is weird. They've already planned this thing to be so far late. Maybe there was a couple of AI adjustments that needed to be made, a couple robotic, a couple maybe medication, maybe a different catheter. I don't know. But some things, why did they wait so long to get to this place? And obviously, everybody's going to be paying attention, and there's going to be about some manipulation, some emotional pull, right? That's going to come out of that whole thing. And I just feel it. I just know it. And I think that we all, instead of getting dragged in, because I think in everything now, if we're going to have this awakening experience for the whole world right now to wake up, everything we're seeing, you cannot emotionally react to right away. You got to be like, what is their play here? What is the whole dynamic? What are they trying to get to here? Because we don't know what's real. We don't know what's AI. I mean, today, you and I were watching fucking shit before we were doing this. On CBS News, they were talking about, oh, Biden's at Camp David doing the speech with one of his fucking helpers, you know, his main fucking guys. And they're like, oh, here's the guy at the White House now. And the guy's on a fucking green screen. Yeah. Right?
With the light shining
on his bald head. I mean, you know.
Yeah, man. It's I love it, dude. I love it because I don't know, man. I'm going to keep beating the drum that I think they're doing it on purpose. I could be wrong on that, and I'll gladly take it on the chin if I am wrong, but I think they're doing it on purpose. And at some point, I think they're going to accidentally fuck something up. Like, for example, I'm not saying it's going to happen exactly like this, but for example, could you imagine if they accidentally turned on a different camera, like a camera off to the side here, and showed him standing in front of a green screen on live news? You know,
kind of like the inauguration.
Yeah,
with the hand pocket and the different people behind them.
I think before long they're going to get to the point where they're trying to let us know. They're trying to show his hand going through the microphone and you know, little glitches behind him and whatnot. But I think it's going to get to a point where they're going to accidentally fuck something up, but they're going to do it on purpose. Like they're going to say, "Oh, live at the White House," and then there he is with the green screen White House behind him, and then they accidentally cut to another camera that actually shows the green screen. You know. That's my prediction. They're going to get so wild and out there with it that the public is going to be just completely outraged. And those news views, that video had 5,000 views on a national news station.
I know.
Going to start dropping
in 4 hours too.
Yeah.
But what? So here's a good way to like put it. I love that you're bringing up like how they're going to probably show some sort of glitch. The way that you see. I don't give a fuck what country you're from. I don't care what political party you're from, or if you're in the middle and you don't associate. Everybody's saying, how in the fuck is this guy fucking up here? And that they're literally letting this happen, right? So that's how you know the world's waking up. How do you manipulate people into making that to your advantage? You've been seeing over the last year, Mitch McConnell do his fucking stroke stares. Okay, right? All that needs to happen is like a situation like that and do the empathy card, right? Because like manipulation, emotions could be everything from trying to rile you up, and that's what they've been doing, to then what's that card that they're going to have that magician's going to want to pull you towards and do the little fucking magician flip trick here? Feeling sad for Biden and his wife.
Oh, yeah.
And the country as he's had a stroke, but he's okay. Right? Or something like that, right? Like, and Hunter's there crying, right? Something heartstring pull.
Yeah.
How do they get all these people that are exposing their lies being exposed to try and whitewash them? Emotional manipulation, just in and Hillary Clinton ran across, she luckily didn't have a seizure. She was on her meds, even though her head was doing this. Fuck it. It picks up Biden's head and helps as the Secret Service pull him, you know, but I'm not saying that's going to happen, but like, you know, that's where we have to start paying attention is like now the guilt card's been played and everything. And then the way that you soften the blow and to get people to really buy it is something's got to be in that kind of arena. And I hate to say that, but that's like where, whenever you think, you know, it's going too far, whenever you're dealing with a manipulation that's really extreme, and once they know the manipulation's not working, they take the other tactic. They go, I'm switching from tape A and I'm switching it to side B.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what's about to happen, right? Is the, you know, he's an old man.
Yeah.
You know, look what he's done. And then I already could see the like 12 hours of what's happening and then playing Joe Biden in 1971 in the Senate when he was this and like they do at the Oscars, you know, when people die and it's like, let's play the people that have been lost, you know. It reminds me of the Hunger Games, which is kind of crazy. I don't know if you ever saw those movies, but that was really, I mean, it was a crazy ass story of 7 districts that like, you know, they're all slaves to the main fucking headquarters of the country and they all just mine but they do a Hunger Games and people get picked every year in order to fight to the death to represent their district. And even if they're young and like anytime somebody dies, it's like, well, they died in the honor of the country, even though it was all fucked up. It's like, it's really like getting to kind of a Hunger Games moment or a Civil War moment. That movie's getting ready to come out as well. And I feel like the manipulation and all the lies exposed, especially looking at the Cat Williams shit, like the P. Diddy fucking shit that's all coming out, the Justin Bieber P. Diddy shit. I'm like, oh my God. Then you at the same time have all that while you're like, okay, something fuck's going on. Then there was that that boxer who just came out and said he was at Bohemian Grove and he got raped. And he's got the video to prove it.
Yeah.
And I'm not an Andrew Tate fan, but I'm like, at least that motherfucker called that fool out and been like, hey, are you sure you know what you're doing? And then second, like, can you be cohesive and actually say this like clearly? Because it sounds like,
yeah,
it's a little too erratic right now.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, if I didn't know that Biden was a fucking actor in a mask acting like a dumbass, I would feel sorry for him.
That's a good point.
If I was looking at him and I thought that was a really Joe Biden, I would genuinely feel sorry for that dude. But I don't know how many people out there actually believe that is the real Biden at this point. It's hard to say. But yeah, I could see that. I could see him laying in a hospital bed in the arms of the angel. I could see that.
Yeah.
I could see that. They're going to do something, man. Something. I don't know. I'm just waiting. Here, I give it a month by, I would say, I don't know, you know the astrology, so tell me what you think, but I'm thinking in the next 4 weeks, there's going to be some kind of shit show starting to roll out. Something. Does the astrology support that? Because that's kind of what I'm feeling.
I mean, I think that we're already in it, but it's about to, ironically enough, this Thursday night with the State of the Union is going to be like a little glip. Like either, I feel like a Mitch McConnell situation where the president's just sitting there, doesn't know what's happening, addresses Kamala Harris as the president again instead of the vice president or something, right? Because they're using her now, and like she went out and said we need to protect all the Gazans and get the aid out there, right? And so like they've already passed the football to her to be the president, right? So obviously, they don't give a fuck about the Biden situation. I mean, there's people who are uncommitted voting against Biden. Biden's getting, competing with people who are voting for nobody. I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like already that should be like a sign that he is a nobody or that he's not there. Like they show his picture and then they show in the results of all these primary elections, a picture of an empty person, a star, and uncommitted with hundreds of thousands of votes. You know what I mean? So it's obvious that it's like, yeah, they're already showing you that there's an empty vessel. So that's another weird emotional manipulation tactic in the media that's happening. It's like as if he's competing against an uncommitted thing, which is weird because if you just take the verbiage, like uncommitted, that means they're uncommitted to Biden being the new emotional manipulation technique or not. It's like they're on the fence. That could, if I were to decipher it, I'd be like, they're unsure if they're going to go through with him all the way or if they found another way to do it. Or and next, maybe they're doing the whole Sarah McLachlan. They're getting ready for the Sarah McLachlan tour, Like that's what it kind of feels like to me is the Sarah McLachlan tour is like the whole end of Pisces, doves, donate now to Biden and Harris and, and pledge to have, that's what's the other thing is the DNC is doing for the first time ever with 3 presidents, Obama, Clinton, and of course, Joe Biden supposedly will take a picture with you for like $200,000.
$200,000.
Yeah, it's like $200K to go get a picture with 3 presidents, which is hard to have a picture, I guess, with 3 presidents. So, I'm like, really? Like, okay.
Is that normal?
No, it's not normal.
Oh.
That's a new thing.
I mean, if I had $200,000 to rack up, I probably would. If I could afford to blow it. If I had $200,000 to wipe my ass with, I would love to say, hey, let me go get a picture with them. I want to go see what's going on with that,
Yeah, I mean, I'd want to like see if Biden's real.
Yeah. Or I mean, has anybody even seen him in person? So from what I've heard, from all the talk that I've heard across all the different platforms and communities and whatnot, supposedly nobody has seen him in person. Nobody has. And I could be wrong on that, but that's the last that I heard. Nobody sees him doing speeches anywhere. Nobody sees him. I mean, of course, you see video footage of him on TV, but is that just a stage with a bunch of actors around, like whenever he fell off of his bike and shit, was that all staged? Like, has anybody seen him?
Right now, call into highvibe.tv if you have seen Biden. I mean, maybe he'll be maybe in a very, kind of elderly way that the president goes missing. Elderly man walks away. lost. You know, Biden will be on every milk carton in America, right? You know, fucking filled with GMOs with hormones and anti-fucking biotics that are going to help you fucking feel better. But I feel like that's where the beginning would start. It's going to have to start there. I mean, if I look at it too, it's like something has to pop because there's that manipulation of like, and it's very a smart tactic, right? American taxpayers, even Europeans, right? We're giving all our money to Ukraine for years, and then we don't see what's happening. That's the crazy part. Because if you're anybody who thinks that it's crazy to think that Biden isn't real, ask yourself why you're not allowed to see the Ukrainian war that we've all spent as taxpayers fucking hundreds of billions around the world, right? Everybody's funneled money to this place. And now they're doing the whole, they're out of money, they're out of resources, and now it's like there's tanks that can't fire fucking shells right now. So they're doing the Sarah McLachlan, oh, there's no tank shells, you know, like order now, buy now, pledge now. We need tanks. Like we need to go kill people. Like we're in that weird world right now. Or even like, I don't know if you saw the Gaza video of like all the people that were getting on the trucks and then supposedly, you know, over 1,000 people got injured and over 100 people died. And people were getting shot, and people were getting run over, but it's all this weird drone footage. And then the video that all the people in Gaza have just had the people running away, but you really don't see the people getting shot. So it's like, is it AI? Because with the new AI, as I've shown you, like you and I could type that in and make that in a second.
Yeah.
So I'm like, they're pulling all the heartstrings on people. And I think that they're doing this like to where people are forgetting, like, you know what? Yeah, we're just going to give another 30 billion, another 20, 60 billion to Ukraine, right? Because it's like the heartstring thing to pull. Mm-hmm. And then that's really how a con artist would do it. But really, it's the CIA. I mean, if you think about it, like all MK Ultra and all the situations that have been happening for so long, they've experimented with LSD to everything, and they know what's going to trip up. Right. And they have to put out a message. They have to make a narrative. And it's like the messaging at this point is when you start seeing the same media that denied that Biden had dementia and all that, starting to ask the question, that means the narrative now is going to change, right? Like it's no longer this, you're crazy to think it. No, everybody's on the same page. No, everybody's on the same page now about the shot. No, everybody, right? So it's like you're seeing everybody on the same page. So the narrative now has to shift to a completely new narrative. Mm-hmm. But I feel like there's going to be a lot of people that they're willing to sacrifice. Mm-hmm. That's what always happens. If you ever end up on the dark side of the tracks in life and you think that those people will look out to you, every gang member, every bad person, they all turn on each other, right? So obviously there's a new crop that they're like, well, we're going to have to sacrifice these people. They don't know yet though, but they'll be sacrificed in order for us to keep the lies going and create a new narrative. And I feel like that's what we're up to next. And that's what scares just me, because I feel like, you know, as people start getting on things, they're going to try and find a way to turn against people and find a really weird, you know, shock and awe moment here. And I do feel like when it comes to All Lies Exposed, I mean, you know, the P. Diddy shit, I don't know what your feelings are about that, but they're saying that basically, okay, Epstein ran his island and it was basically a honey pot place to get politicians to get blackmailed. Mm-hmm. But that's actually what P. Diddy was doing, and he was doing it with like the new generation or the younger generation and the pop and the hip hop and all that shit. And it's kind of crazy because like the camera footage and the pictures, like even he'd get his friends to like, he would get off on like having his buddy fuck a hooker and record it and pay him to do it and smoke the crack and shit.
You would watch somebody else fuck a hooker?
Yeah.
So what's the blackmail? Would the friend be like married or something and he'd...
You know, it would be like other people that were there watching in the background of the video to him also running a human trafficking ring too. But it's interesting because it's also connected to the Tupac shit. And then it's also connected to Will Smith deep because let's just say that I think Puff Daddy got his name from Will Smith to be Puffy, you know.
No, none of that surprises me in the least. None of it. And I'm really, really liking what I'm seeing so far when it comes to that whole community. of the rap and the hip hop community and whatnot. And then how we got Cat Williams coming out talking about what we were just fucking talking about on last show about, you know, the real history of religions and whatnot. And then we got Cat Williams going on Joe Rogan talking about the fucking emerald tablets.
Yeah, I know.
Fucking amazing. Some amazing doors are going to open from that. Because I'm going to tell you what right now, as soon as that shit starts hitting the mainstream, religion won't make it till 2030. Once it's public knowledge what this Bible really is and where it really came from, and that anybody, if you got a phone in your pocket, you can go look up the ancient texts and translate them and read them. I know. And it's just a matter of time, dude. And, you know, just so every facet of the population is being awakened right now. And it's just interesting how they're doing it and the characters that they're picking to target certain groups and open their eyes and say, look what's really going on, you know? It's very fascinating.
It is. I think that, you know, having Cat Williams on Joe Rogan, going into Emerald Tablets, going into literally like 3 hours worth of gnarly, spiritual, ancient knowledge. Like, and you know, he's a comedian, you know, so he's really poppy and he likes to talk. He was just straight laying down spiritual truth facts, right? And even Joe Rogan the whole time is sitting there is like, he got so fucking like overwhelmed. He's like, okay, Cat, what kind of fucking weed is this? Like, he was like, this shit's fucking good. Like, you know, like, and I've watched Joe Rogan enough to know, like, when he says that means it's fucking blowing his mind and that he's got to look into it. And especially on how everything in life and how even Hollywood works and how all these things have worked. Like, it's because of like how they know how to manifest certain things. And then there's these power struggles of like how dumb people are to fall for just to get a little bit of power. They'll sell the idea of selling their soul is just like becoming a slave, basically. Like, yeah, I'll be your little bitch. I'll be your little slave. And I think that's what's really sad is you start looking at like, oh, okay, like, gosh, you know, we grew up at especially the peak of that time when the millennium started and shit. Like, all those people sold themselves out. Even Kid Rock just got in a bunch of shit because he was on Joe Rogan a week and a half ago and he was like, yeah, I was at Bohemian Grove back in the late 90s. Oh. And it's like, oh, okay. All right, bro. You acting like you're a redneck fucking, you know, that, you know, had to live the hard life fucking, yeah, right. You just went to Bohemian Grove and then, you know, tried to put the muscle ass on it. Like, oh yeah, I beat some motherfucker up when I was there, you know? And it's like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing there? And like, oh, no wonder, you know, they kept pumping albums out of yours, you know? Yeah. And then look what happened to fucking, you know, Linkin Park. Look what happened to Audio Slave. Look what happened to two guys who really got fucked over and they're dead. But Kid Rock's not dead.
Yeah. I was wondering about him.
You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, and then they use him with the whole Bud Light thing with the Dylan Mulvaney thing, right? And then they use him to help sell Bud Light afterwards.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That was, again, him on the show being like, oh, I love Bud Light. You know, it's just like, I didn't like that. And then, yeah. And then like Dana White now in the UFC, like try to sell it to people and be like, you know, you're a fucking idiot if you won't buy Bud Light. You know, it's like, oh, so you shoot it up with a fucking, you know, you shoot it up with a gun. Then you fucking mock it. Then you set it up to where you set it up with the right people that you make money off of. And then you call everybody like not cool to see through it, right? It's like, that's the kind of manipulation that's happening right now. And that's what's sad to me. Or the manipulation of like, we're landing on the moon, right? The moon lander that then fell off like on its side. Okay, it's been 50 years since anything supposedly was on the moon. But you trashed the whole Apollo program and including all the evidence and all the stuff that we landed on the moon. Like you just threw it all away. You burned all the books. Same thing with our nuclear weapons. They're having to re-engineer our nuclear weapons because they didn't leave that behind. Yeah. So are there really nukes? Or is it all a big show that we just say we have a shit ton of nukes? But maybe, you know, we tested things and then the UFOs or the aliens said, no more. And it's all a big scare show that everybody's got nukes when really.
Well, have you seen the real footage of the moon landing? I saw it back in 2014, the real footage of it. And this is back, I was drinking so heavily back then. If I would have thought about it, of course, I didn't know anything about anything back then. So I didn't know anything about conspiracies, and I did not know that there was some truth out there that they were desperately trying to hide. But it got leaked onto YouTube, and I found it, where it showed where they landed, and there were these big empty structures, like buildings, and it looks like wreckage, ruins up there. And it showed crashed spaceships.
Right.
And then there was even bodies on the surface of the moon that were like dismembered and shit. And then it even showed where they took one of the bodies, and it was this lady, and she was very preserved, and she kind of looked like ancient Egyptian, but she had these things.
I remember that video now.
She had these things hooked into her head.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then I thought, oh, that's cool. I
have not seen that video forever.
When did you see that?
Fuck. 10 years ago or something like that?
Yeah.
Like
back in 2014. And I didn't think anything of it. And then I went to show somebody like a few days later, and it was scrubbed. It was gone. And I was like, why can't I find that? I dug and dug, and it was gone. I didn't stay on video on YouTube very long, I don't think, before they scrubbed it.
Well, I mean, and that would make sense about how, you know, everything's kind of reaching that weird point now in life where it's like you can't hide everything anymore because it's just all coming out. In the UK, one of the top Scotland Yard ministries of the police, I don't know, I mean, I am English in my ancestry, like direct, but I'm not English, I'm American. But a letter just got released about the COVID situation that goes direct to all the MPs, names all the crimes of murder, crimes against humanity and everything. And it finally just got leaked publicly of what's about to happen, right? So it's like, oh shit, right? So you have that whole situation. Then you have like, okay, obviously there's something about to happen. Why are we going to the moon again? Why are we rushing to the moon by 2025 and 2026? And we're going to put the first black man on the moon and the first woman on the moon at the same time. That was the same time that the last time we tried that was Challenger. We're going to put a teacher and a woman on the moon, and then they all die and all the, you know, like, that was horrible. But like, you know, it's like they're doing all this shit for some, like, they don't want all of it to be exposed. And again, the alien thing just will not, they just don't want to talk about that part of it, you know? Yeah. They've got everybody, it's like, you know what? Watching Biden to me is an alien, you know? Because obviously it changes, the chin changes, the face changes, the expressions change. So it feels very odd, and especially that, you know, they prop up an alien on a television and on your phone to tell you to force to take a jab to fucking, you know, what do you mean? He even just said just right before the election on Tuesday, the Super Tuesday, what do you mean? I'm winning in all 5 polls against Trump. He literally said that. And even the press was like, no, you're not. And he's like, yeah, I am. So obviously that's, again, it's this whole, you know, are people awake yet or are people not? Because I almost feel like the fact that I'll like spit a little stupid fact like that, but people will be like, what? I didn't see that. It's like, how could you not? You know, because it's like, it's so easy to see all over the place right now that everything is corrupted and everything's coming out that's corrupted. I mean, look at, obviously we talked last episode about the financial situation, like all the stock markets at its all-time highs, crypto, Bitcoin just hit an all-time high, then it fucking dumped, then it came back, and right, like everything's getting pumped. That to me is scary because that obviously means like there's a big crash coming. Like that's what everybody's trying to grab. That whatever, it's greed to the max. Get as much as I can. Let me load my bags right now before it fucking all crashes. Yeah. And then people selling you to have security. What do you mean? You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, right. Yeah. The smart people are buying gold. Gold reaches its all-time high, right? Like, you know, something tangible at the end of the day. Yeah. Because that's where the other thing is, I think the biggest lie that'll be exposed is like, they've known about the solar activity. They've known about solar flares. they also know about other stuff that we don't know that could be coming in to affect what's happening on Earth, right? So, to me, it's like, it's not so much of a conspiracy if you can't be honest about the conspiracy. Like, okay, what's the conspiracy of why all the billionaires are building bunkers? Well, obviously it's going to be dealing with geomagnetic shifts. That means there'll be earthquakes. That means there'll be no power. So you'd want to be in a bunker. So of course, it's not about, because some virus or something like that, right? Like it's much more about like sometimes the most simple thing that, people don't want to admit, like the data and the science and the spiritual astrology shows that that's what we're going to be facing. So, it's like the big secret is they don't want to tell people something's coming, right? And the astrology would say that it would be not something that's happening on Earth, something that's coming from above, like from the skies, right? And that's where the religious thing, I think, it's easy for religion to kind of bait you in because it's like, well, Revelations is being, prophesized and it's going to be fulfilled. And it's like they want the Antichrist to come, which I think is really weird because that feels to me very cultish. Like, where's the Antichrist?
Yeah.
I can't wait for him to come. And then we're all just going to be swept up and all die together in a minute and go to heaven. Like, I mean, I already thought, Heaven's Gate was crazy enough to kill themselves over the comet that went over LA and they all killed themselves.
Yeah.
Right. We're talking about hundreds of millions to close to 1 billion people that are looking forward to dying.
Yeah.
And are sitting around and like, I'm bored. Like, can the Antichrist arrive yet? Like,
yeah, man. And I mean, I don't know, man. All the shit that they're doing is not working, but when they try this and they try this and they try this and nothing works and they throw this bait in the pond and nobody bites it and they throw that bait in the pond and nobody bites it. What'll get everybody's attention is when they wake up and their bank account says 0.
Yeah.
That's what I'm kind of, I don't know. Do you feel like you know of a particular time frame that might go down?
No, I've been saying it since 2017. Publicly, it's on my YouTubes. And then it's funny because, after you say it for like 3 years straight from 2017 to 2020, then I just like, and then I say it in like other videos and stuff, but it's like, I always say, 2024 is the year they're going to pull what we've never seen before. But at the end of this year, when Pluto comes back into Capricorn and when it's coming back into Aquarius and during the election and all that shit, I think we'll see more weird situations like, Silicon Valley Bank, just coming up here in the next month. I mean, March 11th, the Federal Reserve is no longer going to be lending the banks money to do loans and stuff. So loans are going to tighten up like crazy.
Oh.
Right? So that's on Monday. And that's why the crypto shit is booming right now. Everybody's trying to get their bags because they know they're not going to be able to get government federal funds, right, from the Fed. So, and the banks know that too. So the banks are buying. The banks, even the CEO of the banks are selling their own stock, right? Because they know that the Feds aren't going to be bailing out anymore. With the repo markets and all that shit, look that up and it'll blow your mind, right? So it's going to be hard to get loans. It's not going to be just like, right? It's going to be like, okay, shit, I can't get a loan. I have a good credit score. It's like, it ain't going to be about credit score. It's going to be about, do you make enough money and how many loans have you had that were high payment amounts to trust you? That's really what it's about, right? And I think that's what's going to be hard is because that does feel like a society that feels unfair. But again, if it's a free capitalist society, then it's like, well, you chose to sit in your 9 to 5 and only make that much money, right? It made you feel more fair by having a credit score that made you feel confident because it was so high.
Yeah.
But like I used to be a finance director at a car lot. That doesn't matter. What matters is how many balances have you had and what was your highest balance ever and what was your highest payment ever? If you made consistently for 2 years, let's say $10,000 a month in payments, I trust you. If and you're getting a $2,000 payment, I trust you. You know how to handle that. And I don't care if you have a 670. compared to the person with an 801 that fucking only had a high balance of $2,000 and highest payments were $57. I don't give a fuck. Get out of here. I don't. That's just to make you feel happy to be a slave.
Yeah.
So I think people are tripping out about that, but also I think what the astrology shows is that it's not so much about money. It's about your value as a human being and what your talent and what your skill is and what you offer. And I know that might sound crazy because it's hard to see in this moment, but like when it all goes down, it's going to be like, no, the people who have the info and that have the abilities and have the tools and have the ideas and have the ability to create this new world and to change things, that's going to be what value and monetary value is, which has always been, right? You always pay the most money for who's the best person or the best energy or the best product. That's not going away.
Yeah.
And people will figure out whatever it is. We're natural as humans to figure it out. Just as much as we're naturally easy to be manipulated, we're just as natural to create a monetary source or a fund source or an exchange. That's really what it is, an exchange of value. So the fact that people are tripping out about it so much, it's kind of blowing my mind because I kind of do believe the more spiritual, we'll call it, I guess, the white hat version, where there is more of an earth where you're not going to have to do it the old way.
Yeah.
Because it's always been an easier way than people realize. Like it's not so, I don't know, work hard and here, let me count the dollars and, it's fucking, it's whether or not you're valuable spiritually on the planet, and that's manifestation at 101.
Yeah.
Then the universe is going to provide. I think that people are so terrified of being called out by the universe. Like, are you really showing up for manifestation on the planet? And what are you here to manifest? Or did you just want easy street and you just wanted to do nothing but just work a slave job?
Yeah, people they're gonna be to a point where they have no choice but to tap into their own gifts. Every human being on this planet has some sort of gift, but almost nobody discovers what that is because they're in survival mode.
Yeah.
Because they have to wake up and force themselves to go do some bullshit that they would rather not do in exchange for a little teeny weeny bullshit ass amount of money. It's just enough money to keep them alive while they keep slaving away. So they don't have time to tap into their gifts. They have no idea what they're good at. Most people have no idea what they're passionate about. Do you know how many people come to me and they'll ask me, like, I've been wanting to write this book since I was a little kid. Should I do it? And I'm like, what the fuck are you asking me for? What do you mean, should I do it? What they're asking me is, if I do it, will it be successful? And that tells me that if I tell them no, it won't, then they won't write it. It's like, so most people don't even know what their fucking gifts are. And the few people who do will deny themselves the privilege of doing it if it doesn't make them money. Because we're so programmed to just chase money because we have to survive. And most people have ignored their gifts. And then we're going to be moving into a world, though, where you don't have to slave away to survive. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
After a certain point, if you could imagine sitting around getting so bored with nothing to do, nothing to think about, you're instantly going to tap into what you're passionate about. Does that make sense?
It does, because I had this, my father passed away 2 years ago, and my dad was singing when he was young, and he waited like 30 years until finally he was in his late 50s to record his album. And I was there for the whole 2 years with him, helping him, marketing it. We got it out. It was a miracle we got it out. And then he had saved the money to hire the band. But when it came to, I'm like, all right, Dad, like, we put it up, and this is right when Spotify just had started a year in and all that, and Apple Music. And so, oh shit, that's my dad, the Aquarius, thunder just coming through.
Oh shit.
And so anyway, I'm like, all right, now we got to go market it. I got awesome meetings up in LA with all these people. Well, I have my job, and I just, I'm with my girlfriend now. Like, I got to be home early. I can't go out to the meeting at like 7 p.m. and then be home at 11. I'm like, how are you going to get this out? I can't do it for you. You're the artist, right? Like you're going to have to go. And that's when I realized, I'm like, wow. And this might be kind of hurtful for some people. It doesn't matter. Oh, you want to do the book? That's great. Okay. Then you get it done and then you get it published. Then what do? You're going to have to continue to stay on it. And that's where that That's the hard part for people, is they get locked and stepped when they're young through school. That's why I trust people who ditch school a lot. I don't trust people who didn't ditch school. I ditched school a lot. And so, like, because you get indoctrinated, and then you get to the college system, and then they really indoctrinate you for the 9-to-5 business world and the setup world of that to be a slave. Even if you think you're a doctor, you're a slave. The hospital's the fucking big one, right? And it's half of them are fucking Shriners, right? It's owned by the Freemasons. So, you go into all that, and then you realize, like, even when somebody makes their dream come true, they're so pre-wired to being like, but I have to be in bed at this time. I have to. So when the opportunities are open for you, no, oh, but that'll affect my relationship. That'll affect my day at work the next day. It's like, well, then fucking take 3 days off. Take the risk. Well, if I get really sick, then what? Fucking who cares? And you lose some money, but that's taking off, and it doesn't matter. People just are really hard to get out, and that, I noticed that when I was young, when I lost my job because of the 2008 crash. It was like 3 weeks it took me to. I woke up every morning thinking I need to be at work, and I'm like, oh my, there is no job to go to right now. I lost my job.
That's a change of frequency. That's the thing. See what he's going through right there, and I've seen so much manifestation failure happen because of this. See, I don't know if you realize this or not, but what he was talking about was he feels that his dreams coming true is on a totally different frequency. So he's feeling, okay, I'm gonna make a choice. I'm gonna have to leave behind some things. I'm gonna have to step into a totally different frequency. It's gonna demand a totally different version of you. There are gonna be some people that are a part of your life that might fall out of your life.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna become a different person.
Yeah.
You're going to start walking in a whole new light and tuning into a totally different reality. And you can feel that. And it's scary as fuck, and
it was, that 3 weeks I was fucking not doing well because of it. Like, I would wake up every morning in 2008, at the end of 2008, September, when I was like, there is no job for me to have. The economy was that bad. And I lost my job, and I fucking every morning woke up like, it took 3 weeks and a lot of marijuana. But it's not the marijuana that helped, right? It was finally after 3 weeks that I was like, all right, I'm now looking at where this new direction is going. And everybody thought I was crazy because they were like, well, find a job. And I'm like, no, I have unemployment because I pay my taxes. And at that time, they had done that 1+ year unemployment fucking thing. That was like a 2008-9 thing. I'm like, I'm going to take this and I'm going to DJ and do astrology. And man, wasn't easy for me at that time in 2009 to be doing that. People were looking at me like I was fucking insane. But it paid off and it got me here. So, and even though, I did not have them pull the taxes out of my unemployment. I paid that off in 2013 tax return. Didn't file for 3 years, but I didn't give a fuck because it was like I had to take every cent that I could. It paid just enough for my rent and my food. The rest was on taking $100 gig to DJ at this little place and this place and this place and this place and fucking get myself out there and do all that shit. So when it came to my dad 5 years later, and he does his album, he's more worried about upsetting his girlfriend from coming home late than he is about getting the fucking thing out there, which she supported him in doing it for 2 years. I was like, what? This is just going to an event. Like, it's not like it's going to be every month. There's a bunch of people that want to meet you that I've already worked on these contacts in LA for fucking most of my life. It's a shoo-in. But that frequency wiring to rewire people, that's what's hard. Like, if you were in a weird career, it doesn't matter what it is. You have to like go through, and I think that's where the hard part is for people to get over that hump into the new energy. It kind of is like it does remind me of acid, like that's what acid does, is like a complete ego breakdown it's terrifying, but you have to face it all at once, and you don't get any other choice. And then once it's gone, you feel like a fuck amazing. It's like free as a bird. But until that, that's what people are afraid to go through. But if you don't want to take LSD, and I wouldn't recommend it during these times unless you really knew where you can get it, let me know. Fucking then you would really be at a place where it would feel like you are kind of slipping psychotically, because your brain's rewiring itself to go back to getting out of the toxic cycle that's not in alignment with who you are at all, or even spiritually. And that's going against the grain. And you're so used to, well, the Christmas, event is coming up for the company party, and the blah, blah, blah. And Fridays we're allowed to wear jeans. Oh my God.
Yeah. It's scary as hell, man. But I don't know. I think I was fortunate enough to be put in situations where I had no choice. Because, like, I'll admit, I probably wouldn't do that willingly either. But I was put in situations where I had no choice.
I agree.
Yeah, it was either do this or die. But at the same time, if I was looking for guidance and somebody taught me that, I probably would have, maybe. That's what gets me, is when you have somebody like that and you're trying to tell them, no, this is what you have to do. And
I know, and it's your own father.
Yeah. But
who, by the way, my father supported me out of my whole life the most, as far as energetically, right? Like he was the one when everybody was saying, David, go get a job. Don't do this. My dad's like, no, fucking do this shit. My dad owned the business that fell, that went apart. So my dad was like, fuck, this life sucks. Go make the dream happen. Right. So I was expecting him to actually be like, all right, now my son who's figured it out, who he was so proud of, we got the album done. Let's go fucking do the next round. And that's where there's a frequency level that's just like, you really want me to? And that's what's weird, is why is it that people get right to their biggest manifestation and they fucking fail?
Because you can feel it.
You know what I mean?
Because you can feel it. That in order for me to really step into and start living this manifestation, I'm going to have to let go of my identity and become a different person. I'm going to have to get out of that comfort zone of that lifestyle that I live, of my relationship or my 9-to-5 job, or even if it's just simply the way others perceive you. There's a lot of people, and people get mad when you say this, but I don't care. There's a lot of people out there, their friends and their family are holding them back more than anything else. And it's not necessarily, even if it's not them like trying to hold you back, your fear of how they perceive you is holding you back. Because nobody likes, somebody like your mom, for example, looking at you like, oh, what's going on with you? Why are you acting like that? Why are you doing that? I don't want my mom thinking, what will my mom think? What will my dad think? What will this person think? And they can feel it. They get right there. They're right at the threshold of making their dreams come true. And they know some huge fucking changes are going to happen. I'm going to have to let go of my identity. A lot of things are going to shake up. What will my girlfriend think? What will my mom think? And then they crumble, under the fear of that. And then they'll go back to their comfort zone. And that manifestation never happens.
And it's sad because I don't know how many thousands upon thousands of people I've had to help with their astrology to whatever it is to get them over that hump. And it just, very few really do it. Even still to this day, it's like, I think it's one of those things to where, like I was showing you last week when I was in New Orleans, when the moment happened, when you and I are about to have Jupiter on our midheavens, and I was trying to show you like, hey, look at my energy shift just in one video of one day when it hit. Because one little thing happened. I got on the news in New Orleans for astrology in 2012. If you think about it, that's pretty crazy, right? Like I'm on the news for astrology in 2012. And I was out there broke with nothing in a fucking shitty hotel in fucking New Orleans at the astrology conference. But just to have that video was the sign. It's not like they paid me. It's not like the news went, here's $10,000 to fucking do it. Fucking like little clip on the news. It was just that little sign that was like, keep fucking going. And it was always that little sign. Just, keep going. And I remember people just being like, that's just crazy. Why are you doing this? Why are you living out? Why are you just living out of your car? Why are you fucking like, I was like, I feel fine. I'm sitting on a couch talking to you about it. What's different about your life than mine right now? In this moment that we're talking, nothing. I'm able to sleep fine. I'm making I'm passionate. I'm doing what I love to do. I'm starting to make money. I'm putting that money away so I can get a place, then putting that money away to buy the camera I want to do, and putting my money away to start to build the life. I mean, and now it's built to this, you know, like it's kind of crazy. It'll be fucking 12 years ago, I started to do a daily horoscope every day. So I'm like, okay, like that fucking worked.
Well, you see, I mean,
but it wasn't that. It was being at Venice Beach and doing it for free with a sign that said astrology readings for free.
But you see, when you know, like, when you do that, when you do something like what you did, the people close to you, they might kind of feel an attack at their own identity, because we all have our excuses and our justifications and our reasons for why we are where we are, you know? So a lot of people don't want to see you do something that's going to shine a big spotlight on their excuses as to why they are where they are in life. You know, like, for example, say you have a family that you know, the long line of broke people who have never done much more than work at fast food restaurants, never went to college, never made much money, and then you have that one person who goes to start a business, right? When everybody in this family is like, oh, well, I was born into poverty, you know, or I was bullied in school, and they just go through the long line of excuses that they have. And then there's that one family member that starts doing good, and then the other family members are like, oh shit, no, that's not cool. Because if you do good coming from the same place I came from, you're going to shine a light on me and expose me that I can't live by these excuses. Because if you prove that my excuse is bullshit, you make me look bad. Yeah. You know, so that's why I don't care who you are. I don't care what your sign is. I just put out a new course in my School of Self-Mastery, The Beginner's Guide to Manifestation. And one of the courses I go into this on the course, What to Expect. That's one of the things that you're going to, that's one of the things. I don't care who you are. I don't care where you're from. When you start doing something to better your life, make your dreams come true, you're going to catch flack and lose friends and family on the journey.
I agree. I had nobody in my life at that time. I had gone through a breakup. I had two of my best friends, but they were battling drug really hard, so they really couldn't be there, right? So like, I didn't have that emotional support system. I wasn't around my family. So I was just like literally on my own, going to these fucking cities, going to the fucking stay here, doing a video here every day, doing all that, doing readings with people I don't know. Like just on fucking Skype on my shitty computer that was barely alive. And it worked, and it all happened. But it was weird because even when I finally got my first room to rent after, you know, moving out of the 9-to-5 world and all that shit, it was like, I didn't even fucking find the room. My buddy, Jesse Hantla, called me. I hadn't seen him in years. And he was like, I'm in town. Where are you at? I'm like, well, I'm kind of in a weird spot. Like, I've been homeless for like the last 6-7 months, and I'm needing to find a place like in the next 2 weeks, because the place I kind of crash at once in a while is not going to be around anymore. And he's like, well, have you seen Tyler? I'm like, I know him, but I haven't seen him. And it's not like I call that guy. I mean, I know him from the DJ world. He's like, well, I'm going to his house. Why don't you come with me? I'm like, okay. And then I go to his house, and Tyler's like, you need a room to rent? I got this badass fucking loft upstairs with its own bathroom and all that, $600. I'm like, well, let's go talk about it. We light up a cigarette. We look outside, and I'm not even fucking kidding, dude. And he's not into this shit at all. He's actually very mental. He's an Aquarius, but not spiritual, you know? And we fucking look out, and there's a fucking shooting star right when we're talking about it. And he goes, that's a sign to me. I go, you believe in that? He goes, yeah, that's fucking crazy, dude. And that fucking year was where people see me on the lake every day. I walk to the lake. It was a great place for me to fucking build the business and start it. And if I were to tell people that it was all based upon following a shooting star, following the feeling of being alone in the middle of weird places, like not even expecting to be on the news in New Orleans and that being the sign to keep me going, most people would be like, what? Right? And no family around and no friends around, like, and the friend that you know, but you really don't know that well, that calls you out of nowhere and says, no, come with me. Let's go to that one guy's house. I know you've met him before. Okay, sure, fuck it. And then that guy ends up being one of my best friends, and we end up living together, and fucking that launches my whole fucking, that's how the biggest lies, I think it's so funny because this is kind of us manipulating people. The greatest lies that are being exposed are the lies that you live within yourself. That's what I really think is happening. That you can be doing so much better in your life and you're not. And we all are, including myself. I could be better. I could be manifesting better. I could be living my life better. Everybody can. That's going to be the biggest lie. So when everybody's looking at the world, it's the projection of the collective and the lies that we're living in ourselves. You know, people want this world to change, yet they won't change. They're still working at a 9 to 5 they hate. They're still pumping their money into the system they hate. They're still providing for this government that they hate. So why don't you just pull out of all that? When I try to tell people that, they're like, you're crazy. I'm like, what do you mean? Just stop fucking pumping the system that fucking is causing all of the things, seeding the clouds, creating the vaccines, doing all the shit. You stop being in the fucking world that's of that. What happens? They don't have customers. They don't have people anymore. Then they're going to be begging for you to run the place. And we can redo the way it's supposed to be. But until people are ready to stop putting money into a 401k, stop putting money into an IRA, stop putting you're feeding the beast.
Or at least just start taking some actions in a different direction. I did the career and finance readings for the March on my channel. And one of the things that I said in every one of those videos was, if you have a phone in your pocket and you're not at least hustling a couple dollars on the side, what the fuck are you doing? Right. I'm not saying go out there and be a 6-7 figure earner in a year, unless you want to, absolutely. But I mean, dude, do you know how many fucking ways there are for you to earn money with this thing? It's insane.
I know.
You can rent your own car out on an app called Turo.
I know.
You can download an app called Poshmark, where they sell clothes and shit. Run to Goodwill, grab you a few shirts for $3 or $4 a piece and flip them for 20. Fucking dude, it's insane. Any company out there that sells any product has an affiliate thing where you can apply to become an affiliate. A matter of fact, a company just approached me a couple of weeks ago who has a product that I actually use, that Shilajit.
Yeah.
And they said, hey, would you want to help us promote this? I said, fuck yeah, I use that shit every day. So I started promoting it. My first week, I got $800 from them. Yeah. Like, I mean, it is endless. It's endless. And again, I'm not saying that you should be out there, making a full-time living, but you could be hustling a couple of dollars. Start taking action and showing the universe what you want. Show the universe. Download Poshmark and say, okay, universe, I'm going to try this. I'm going to download Poshmark. I'm going to go Goodwill shopping, spend $50 at the Goodwill, and then I'm going to come home. I'm going to create my Poshmark store. Okay, so as soon as you start doing that, you're officially on the path. You're on the path. You're fucking doing it. Now, is that going to pop off and be super, super successful? Maybe, maybe not. But it doesn't matter. I'm still on the path doing something. And the minute you get on the path and you start doing something like that, that puts you on a different timeline. So now, even if that doesn't pop off, look for other doors of opportunity to open because you're on a new timeline right now, Yeah,
I honestly, it started with eBay.
Yeah.
I literally, so it was kind of crazy because while I was unemployed in 2009 doing astrology and DJing, I fucking was like, I need to make some extra cash. So I was trying to get DJ gigs, but I needed also a little bit extra because I still wanted to at least go out and hang out with people or do something. So I fucking went on eBay and I found this guy and he was like, I have a cell phone biz, but it's, it was like a really weird ad. It was like, you want to do something that really can help people and make money? I was like, oh, okay. So I met this guy and Dr. E, and he was like, I flip cell phones, use cell phones. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, well, let's find something that people want to donate their cell phones for a good cause. And then we're going to put them on eBay and then we're going to give half of the proceeds to fucking whatever the cause is. So I'm a veteran. So we did Unselfish Freedom and we got a bunch of veterans together and then we did drives and we got all the cell phones and we taught the veterans to help themselves. Like, here's the phones, go on eBay, take $1, go buy 100 1-cent items, buy them all, then put them back up for sale. Then you're a seller with 100 5 stars within 2 days, 3 days. Now, when you put a phone up, you're at the top. Right? And that's when days with SIM cards, it's I just need a fucking phone. right? Like my phone went, and that was in the days where you're in the rice fucking bowl with your fucking phone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, yeah, that flip phone fucking that somebody gave in. Yeah. Okay. You sold it for $30, but it was free. Right. And then we would say, all right, give back to the fund 2% of whatever it was. I think it was 2%, not 50%. And then that was like how we did it. And it was a nonprofit. But then I was like, I'm going to do this for myself, because that's the whole point. It's about helping, but then also realizing what you can do yourself. So then we would go to Walmart, buy the $19 flip phone and go flip it, put it as buy now as $49 or $59, because people are so, buy now. I don't want to bid.
Yeah.
They could have bought the same phone at fucking Walmart.
Yeah.
For $30 less.
Yeah.
And that paid my way for so long. I'm like, this is just stupid. I remember I was on, before there was Tinder, it was a Plenty of Fish or something. I went on Plenty of Fish. Yeah. I'm like, hold on, I got to stop by Walmart. She was like, what? I'm like, yeah, hold on. I bought 2 phones. She was like, what are you doing? You bought 2 phones? Or you like sell drugs or something? I'm like, nah, girl, I sell fucking phones online. And she goes, what do you mean? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to resell these phones for double, maybe 30, like 300% more. I'll sell this one for $99. Really? I'm like, yep. I'll never forget that was such a weird thing. But she was like, looking at me like, because that back then, people are like, what are you doing on the internet? And it's funny because even today people are like that. Yeah. They watch everybody online do it, yet they don't believe that they can do it, or they don't believe that, oh, you know what, I can't do that.
Yeah.
And I think that's the saddest part of humanity at this moment is like, gosh, you were talking the other day, we were actually sitting here after our show last week. It was like, how many third world countries now are doing TikTok reels and shit, and how much effort they put into these reels?
Yeah.
Okay. If you are in a Western country right now, in a first world country, do you realize that because these people in third world countries have access to the same tool you have, you probably have a better iPhone than they have. They probably are doing this on an iPhone 7 or whatever. And you're probably on an iPhone fucking 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And you're still not doing your talent, your skill, or anything. And you're still just sitting there wondering why things aren't changing in your life. Mm-hmm. When you see people in third world countries using their backdrops of the shitty sewer circumstances that they're in and turning it into a fucking...
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's amazing. It's fascinating. There's these one I saw, and I think it was like somewhere in Africa, where these cool little African kids, man, and they were fucking creative. And they were like standing in front of a grass hut. Like, these motherfuckers live in grass huts, dude. Right, yeah. And they took all these sticks and stones, and they made a full band, and they even had like a microphone hanging down, or one of them was pretending to sing into the mic. It's just a stick hanging down. And then they even had crafted a little guitar out of sticks and had like buckets set up like a drum set, and they were doing they were lip syncing. Like it was a full band of these kids. And they were dancing like Michael Jackson, lip syncing these songs. They built a whole set out there with sticks and stones, and they fucking killed it. I'm like, damn, dude, and they're getting a lot of views. So them kids over there in Africa can take sticks and stones in front of a grass hut and put the energy and the effort and the passion into that. When somebody's sitting around today with an iPhone 15 is like, I don't know why I'm broke. It's I don't know why. I guess I'll just look at this Instagram, start flipping through and just being upset. And why do they have this or why don't I have that? Yeah. Because I think that's another thing too, is the greatest lie being exposed is how many people don't want to see other people succeed. They get so triggered with money. They get so triggered with people being successful. That's why you're seeing people crawl into crypto, crawl into these fucking holes of like, I just want to make it through this. I don't want to actually do anything. I just want something to do it for me. That's what it says when, unless you're an institutional investor or that's your life or you're hedging, I understand. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the person that's buying crypto on Venmo, the person that's buying crypto on PayPal. There's the people that's buying Robinhood, I'm gonna go buy GameStop. The people that are just literally I don't want to fucking work. I just want money to come to me. Yeah. Well, the spiritual energy of what's coming in the future, that still ain't gonna work for you. Yeah. The way the system, however it's going to be set up, is if you're passionate about it and your energy is vibrating and matching, it's going to be retrieved still in the most amazing way. Yeah.
And so that's the hump that I think people are going to have to get over, is because when you really look at the specs, it's not looking good. It's gone crazy. People are working more 2 and 3 part-time jobs than ever, when literally they could be working 2 or 3 different hustles of their passion.
Yeah.
With everything. AI will do half of it.
Yeah.
More than half of it.
Yeah.
At least to set it all up, to not have, if you don't know how to build a website, guess what? You don't need to use Wix.com anymore. You can use fucking OpenAI and code a fucking in Python a badass page and do an API and find an API that makes it even sicker and have a login page and have all it and not even do it. It's so easy. I'm like, I think that's what the biggest lie is that's being exposed, is how humanity is hurting itself until humanity, each individual looks in the mirror and goes, am I the problem? Like, am I the one who, sure, I might be awake, but am I doing something about being awake? Am I changing the system? Or am I just still in the system complaining? Like, it's nice to be awake, but if you're still in the jail with the jail cells and then the bars are in front of your face, yeah. Like, that's nice. You have a nice big screen TV of the awakening experience going on, but you're still behind the jail cell.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, man, it's kind of sad. Also, too, like, and you see it a lot whenever, like, there's been so many times where I've seen tarot readers who have a lot of potential. You know, I've seen their work. They look like they know what they're doing. They got good intuition. I'll shout them out. Hey, man, go to this person. This person's good. And then once they get the clients coming to them, here, wanting to pay for readings, and then they don't want to work. It's like, what the fuck, dude?
I know.
Like, you have to, I think you have to be willing to go into this, willing to do it for free. I'm not saying go do it for free, right, but you just have to have that energy. Because on the path, there will be times where you have to put the work ahead of everything. And that's what lines you up with the money that you want. You know, you have to be willing to maybe, you know, the very first tarot card reading I ever did, first personal reading that I did, the check bounced. She wrote me an e-check and it bounced.
Oh, PayPal e-check.
Yeah, and I didn't say anything. I didn't say nothing to her. Matter of fact, she's still friends with me on Facebook. Never said anything to her. Never complained about it. Never said you owe me money. You know, and I've seen some people that will just throw a fit over $100. Oh, this person wrote me a bad check for a tarot reading, and blah, 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 and they'll just bitch and bitch and bitch and bitch. Dude, get on the path and do the fucking work. Because one of these days, here very soon, I think probably before 2030, if you work a job, you're not going to work a job because you have to do it for money to survive. We're moving into a world where the work you do, you'll be financially abundant. When the whole new system and everything is all in place, you'll be abundant, but you're not going to be working for money. Your work is going to be either something that you love, something you're passionate about, or something that's a service to humanity. And the people who aren't actually willing to do the work.
Like the real old America.
Yeah. That's the world we're moving into.
And if you really think about it, it's like that's when I started on Yelp before doing YouTube videos for readings. I'm glad that you brought up your first reading, because I forgot about this till this moment. I mean, it's like 13 years now. I fucking did a 2-hour reading, but I was so nervous about like asking for money. So I just took the call. I'm like, yeah, I do readings. Let's get on the reading. I do a 2-hour reading for this random guy. Don't know who he is. Do it all. And I'm like, all right, yeah. So at the very end, I'm like, all right. So yeah, I take a credit card, but really all I'm doing is putting his name and card info in my own PayPal. You know, like as if he was the customer. Motherfucker hung up on me. I star 69 that motherfucker. Beep, beep. Didn't go to I'm like, I remember being so pissed.
Really?
So pissed. Like fucking pissed for 2 days. I think I was pissed for 2 days because I was like, finally, I'm able to make this $125 for the 2-hour reading I did, and I can't even get it. And then I even like tried to contact Yelp customer service. So like, you didn't ask for the money? I was like, after. Like, you had to ask for it before. I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, that's why for for the 12 years, like you have to pay for a reading and then you gotta wait, right? Like there's a waiting list, like, especially when you get really big. I mean, go try to go to any other celebrity reader, tarot reader. They're fucking a year out. You know, like that's just what it is. And that's what I grew up in, and that's what it's always been for me. But like that's what it's crazy. Like I literally have like 25,000 people who want a reading from me right now. I just have a fucking email that people put in like, you want a reading, and it's 25,000 people. I could just call up, but I have to finish the 74 people who paid. So it's like, you know, you get to a place where it's like you become in demand because you have to get over that fear of asking for your value. And that's what humanity's at when it comes to the shot, when it comes to getting Epstein Island understanding, when it comes to what's going on with the aliens, when it comes to what's going on, is this the president or not? Was that a fucking stolen election? Fuck, come on. Doesn't know how to ask its own worth. It's the same thing. It's like people who are too afraid. And it's sad because, you know, I only use Venmo to send money to my therapist, right? Or sometimes people or employees in the past who wanted Venmo. I'm not receiving money on Venmo. But it's weird. When I go through my friends and I look at my feed, all I see is like Venmo transactions, like cable bill, you know, and I'm not putting you down, but I'm just trying to show people of where they're at. That it became a mockery by the rich to have the small people, which is the 99%, to literally watch. I don't know why I channeled this, but it's like that's what they did it for. It's just to laugh at them, like pizza, half, you know, like here's half the money for the pizza. To just see that people are at that place in their life where once you actually live in your passion, there's no such thing as splitting. No, I got it, motherfucker. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's no such thing as, oh no, let me give you half. If you're in a relationship where it's like, oh, let me give you half and you do half and I do half.
I've never understood
oh
that.
My God. You are already in not a fucking, okay, there's no manifestation in that place because you're already doing the breaking apart the frequency thing.
Yeah.
I mean, so like it's a mockery when I see, and it's sad because I see everybody, and it's like, oh, you really don't even you're not on the lease. I could tell just from your Venmo now in my fucking feed, right? You're not on the lease. You're not on the cable bill. You're still paying your mom for the phone bill. That's under her name. I could see it on the Venmo. People's Venmo will tell you everything of where they're at in their life, of their self-worth. You're that low on the totem pole that you have to be on the mockery that the elite made to laugh at you? Like, here's half the money for the yogurt with a little yogurt fucking emoji. And I can just say that because I know that that is the lowest form of self-worth, is when you're in that space.
Yeah.
When you're in that space, that is the lowest form of self-worth.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
relationships.
I know that's going to trigger the fuck out of people, but
yeah, and relationships. I've never understood that. I've never even back when I was like making nothing, when I was making $10 an hour. If you're with me, this is our money, even if we're not married. I don't know. I've always been that way. I've never understood if we're gonna. Well, usually the relationships I've been in most of the time we live together. You know, so if we live in the same house, this is ours.
Yeah.
I've never, because to me, if I'm putting out the energy that this is mine and you go get yours and you pay your half and I've never understood that. To me, then we're not together. We're not one unit. Like me and my wife, we are a unit. Like,
yeah. So how much of like the toilet seat is yours the month that you paid more in the rent? Like you're only allowed the right side of this. You can't. I'm gonna watch you when you go pee. You better put your left fucking cheek on. You better stay on that place, and you better not hit my right side of the fucking toilet.
Yeah.
Because if you do, I don't know, but you know, like you'll clean it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, and also in the shower, you sit on that side, and you're only allowed to get half the water. Like, yeah, that's really what it, or you know what? I'm the one fucking paying over half of the meal. So eat half and give the other half for me to go.
Yeah. And I think,
like, what?
Isn't it supposed to, I was under the impression, or I always thought that it's supposed to be a natural male instinct to want to provide. I thought.
Oh no, it is. It is.
There's a lot of bitch boys out there that want their girl to pay half. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what kind of man are you? That's just the way I feel about it. Like, me, I'm like, nah, I got us. You know what I'm saying? Like, with my situation, though, it's a little bit different because she runs our the business. Like she does her work, I do mine. But even if she didn't, even if something was to happen,
Right.
and it would just be me with nothing but my YouTube check, I got us, And
Yeah.
I've never understood these little dudes that say, no, I pay this half of the rent, you pay half. That's never made sense to me.
I mean, you know why? Because I feel like that is the most lowest for. Like I remember when I was so broke, I just wouldn't go on a date because I knew I couldn't provide for the date.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't go. Like it's like until I get to a place where I can do that, I'm going to do that. Where it's all the way, where it's like, no, I'm buying the full dinner. I'm buying whatever we're doing. Like, hello, that's like guy code for all time. All time. I don't know what happened, but I think because they started taking, FHM down and Stuff Magazine away. And, as a kid, when I was at 7-Eleven, man, fucking, they used to just have a fucking little plastic thing in front of Playboy and Hustler. And that was it. And it was like, get my Slurpee fucking before we're going to school. And fucking, yes, fuck yeah. And the fucking 7-Eleven guy, like, check out page 92. Like, fucking look at that spread. Fuck yeah, dude. Fucking. Now these little bitch boys are looking like girls.
Yeah.
Right? Like all metroed out and like, and like, you all pay for half. Like,
I think it's the shit they've been putting in the vaccines. I seriously like
they probably watch Bravo too.
It's all the new vaccines that are coming out. The shit they're putting in the foods. I think something. There's definitely. I mean, I'm not part of this world on the internet. I'm not part of that world, but I do agree that there has been a major attack on masculinity. I agree with that because there has. They want the boys to be little bitches, and they're doing a really fucking good job. Good job.
I mean, you and I like rock music. Rock music's gone. Like, as far as like, if you were to try and find it mainstream, like if you were, it's like they pump pop music and the rock genre, even MTV, like, in the 90s was so awesome, like Bush would be at the top, like there'd be, and then once the boy bands came out, is when like rock started to be like, nah, we're not going to put rock anymore. So you get rid of music that is very masculine, right? Then on top of it, you're in a world right now where it's like, okay, like, I mean, some people know, like dudes are fucking, they won't go to Home Depot. They'll go to IKEA and they'll buy the IKEA fucking drill that it takes AA batteries. And then it's like a one-time use thing. Yeah. And they're like, yeah, it's my tool. Or they, the cars they drive are all bitch cars too. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, that's a girl car. I sold cars my whole life, most of my life. So I'm like, that's a girl car you're driving. Like, why are you driving a girl car?
Like Prius and smart
Prius, Honda Civic, unless it's a two-door, and at least you got to do something to it to make it a guy version of that, right? Like there has to be a guy version of. If you're gonna have a car that a girl could be driving, you still got to make it masculine.
Yeah.
But if you're just driving it bone stock, like just off the lot, I got my Tesla, white Tesla, fucking like, oh my god, like you have got a fucking fucked up,
Yeah.
Like, and then it's the music that I was gonna say. It's the music though. It's like they listen to music that has no masculinity in it, no edge. It's like, and I've noticed that being in the rave scene, like the old rave scene, like we went for the hard fucking rave music, and the guys were the guys. Our shirts were off, like, and we had our hot chicks around us, right? And the girls dressed up as much as they could, and the guys, we looked as duded out and fucked up as we could. Now in the rave scene, I hear all these dudes like looking all like, yeah, bro, did you hear the new fucking whatever? And it's like, that's a fucking chick track.
Yeah.
I'm like, I wouldn't throw that as a DJ. If you fucking tried to pay me 10 million, a billion, I wouldn't play it. And that's the problem. It's like, or Coachella. You look at, people go to Coachella for a picture. They don't go for the music anymore. They go to wear a certain outfit, to be cool, and to look cool that they were there. It's not about the music, because the music, you can tell Coachella was made for not well-known but underground amazing music as a festival. When they started putting up big names like Madonna and stupid shit like that, you're like, okay, I'm out. But no, it just increased more and more. And then when they made it 3 days for 2 weekends of the same Blink 182, like, okay, there's a problem here. You know what I mean? That's so the beta male got sucked into club culture that wasn't really the real club underground. Like we went to warehouses with that shit fucking banging until 6 a.m, like fucking, yeah, there were fucking creep balls at those places. There's people smoking crack in front of speakers and shit. That was normal though. That wasn't scary. That was normal. Now it's like these dudes try to look at the club, or they go and they try to be this and they listen to whatever, and then they try to play music that the girl will like instead of, like, I hate to say it as a guy, but back in the day in my 20s, like, the girls liked you by playing the music they hadn't heard. Mm-hmm. You know, like, what? Like, what is that? That is badass. Oh, do you listen to Kiss FM? Oh, of course, right? Like chicks want to be inspired by a guy who's different and by who follows their own lead in life. Yeah. And that's what's been missing is beta male is really, let me see what other people are doing, and especially at social media. Well, I guess this guy's doing that, so I'll do that. And if you see the top YouTube channels, they're all beta males. There's no masculine male anywhere, right? In any top YouTube channel, right? No. And then they always are playing suckers, and like it reminds me of like Just Friends, the movie. Like it's like, you know, like just like, yeah, I'm your friend, you know, like what? It's so weird. It's like soft porn on HBO is harder than now.
Yeah, man. So what do we do? How do we? No, this actually is something that kind of keeps me awake at night. Like
the soft porn that doesn't play anymore. The world is a really bad soft porn movie.
No. Now what we have to do, because we're not going back to anything. Because I think whenever we start seeing a big change, you know, whether it's a change for the better or for the worse, we're kind of wired to want to go back, what we call back to normal, and we're not going back to anything. So right now it is a battle between the toxic masculine and the toxic feminine, and it looks like the toxic feminine is starting to win. So how do we awaken divine masculine? Like, is that even a thing yet? Is that catching on yet?
I think what's happened is, you know, the toxic feminine's winning because they're becoming men. Like literally, like they're transitioning into men.
Yeah.
That's what trans is.
Yeah.
And I have nothing against people who want to do that. Like, if anything, God willing, that's what you want to do. You're over 18 years old and you weren't conned into that by your parents.
Yeah.
That's what you want to do? Go do that shit. But you can tell that we're at a moment here where women are getting fucked and men are getting fucked at the same time, because feminine energy is getting fucked because what? Like, you're trying to play sports against me, all the way to you're trying to define what a woman is, and you're a man dressed as a woman, all the way to the toxic feminine. That's where the most go into, right? Is to become trans, right? Yeah. And then the men who are beta as fuck, they can't make it, so they go, well, the women are making it, so I'm going to transition and be Dylan Mulvaney, right? And that's what this is about the fucking lines have been blurred. So of course the yin and yang of the universe have become fucking, there's no more balance in it. It looks like fucking a horrible fucking black and white paint just spinning in a fucking circle at this point. There is no balance point between them like you always see. And that's why people, I think, are feeling weird. I think it's about both sides. It's not about going against trans either. I think that's the trap, because it keeps feeding the beast. I think it's about becoming just who you are and just doing it like how we did in the 90s and the 2000s. Like, well, I'm just going to be who I am, and I'm not afraid. You can't be afraid.
Yeah.
You can't be afraid. And if you're falling into the sucker shit of like, well, this is what people are doing online. This is what's cool online now. Yeah. I'm going to go buy a fucking Stanley Cup. Like there's the problem. It's not the trans community. It's the fucking people who buy the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Because it's the majority of these people that we see today that are trans. They're not actually trans. To actually be trans, you're born that way. Like you're born with the gender dysphoria, you know, and some people actually are born with maybe like both genitals or whatever. Like there are people who are actually born trans, but what they've done is they've taken that and they've put it in the spotlight to where you can get attention by doing it. So like you said, falling into the sucker shit, that's not actually trans. Just because
it's a trend.
Yeah, it's a trend. You're an idiot. You're so desperate and starved for attention that you're willing to go chop your fucking dick off.
Right.
You're an idiot. That's not trans. You're an idiot. You know, there's a big difference. And this, again, it's not a disrespect to the trans community because real trans people don't give a fuck about trends. That's just who they are. You know what I'm saying?
It's martyr syndrome mixed with crucifixion. Like I cut off my dick, like I'm Jesus on the cross, like you should worship me. Right. But it's a trend also because it's like, oh, well, I don't see the advantage of me being this because of that. That could be the like unspoken truth is like some dude who's like, well, chicks are getting more attention. I'm not as this guy. So you know what? I'm going to transition. I'm going to become a girl and I'm going to get attention now.
Yeah. And
everybody's going to love me because I wasn't loved. So a lot of it comes to, you know, parenting, to how they were parented, to all that shit. But I think the way that it's not even about a war, but I think it's much more of like people have to not be afraid. And people have to get off TikTok and get off these places of that's what I'm going to do with my life. Like I'm sorry, but like 99% of what you're seeing on there is a highway to hell.
Yeah.
As AC/DC would say it.
Smoke and mirrors.
And it really is like, you know, oh, this is cool. This is cool. This is cool. No, it's not. Like when TRL fucking tried to tell me that, you know, that NSYNC was cool, I didn't think it was cool. And I was okay to live with that. I was okay to be like, no, Bush is still the shit and you should be putting Gavin back up on there. But no, you're not. Oh, okay. I'm going to go listen to this shit. And like, that's where like punk moved into like, you know, metalcore, like emo, because there was this expression of the rock like not being accepted after, you know, metal and long-haired fucking metal bands of the late 80s and were the biggest thing in the world. And then fucking grunge came by and they were huge. And then no, they got phased out. And that was the end of the masculine thing. Like, you know, there's a problem when Howard Stern is the biggest bitch now of all time. Like Howard Stern used to be a fucking crazy motherfucker. Used to fucking have Playboy chicks on. Now he sits in his house in New York City, still has his show on Sirius XM, won't leave his house because of COVID, won't do any of that old shit, and just has old people on to talk about the old times and is a little bitch.
Won't leave his house?
Yeah, he doesn't leave his house. He left his house one time since COVID and then got COVID after being vaxxed 4 times.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, and pushes the shot and pushes it more. So you know we're in a weird world when the guy who even has a movie, Private Parts, or even looking at how his show was, which was one of the crazy. I mean, I used to listen to his show. It was fucking awesome. That motherfucker used to have the most funniest fucking situations happen on that show of all time. To now he sits at his fucking house and just has like, I don't know, what's that guy who's all OCD about fucking germs? Howie Mandel on to just talk about the old times. Like, you know, it's like there's no more crazy, you know, shit. Or I notice in this younger generation, like they have these guys that'll have podcasts and they have all these chicks on, and then they're like trying to dish out some of the stuff we're talking about. But again, it's one of those things to where it's more about the trend than it is about the info. It's like, well, look at the aesthetic, look at the kind of girl that's brought on, look at that, how my boys and I, how we are next to each other and how we've got it. And then there's really like the info misses because it's more about to look like the other ones that are doing the same. Everybody, and you see it in left-wing things, you see it in right-wing things. All the conservative channels are trying to come across with the same messaging and the same look and the same vibe. Left-wing people, well, we're going to look like this too, and we're going to make sure that we have diversity on there and right? So it's like so... Why? Like, there's not a lot of identities. It's not that there's an identity problem, is that a lot of people won't step into their own unique identity. And I think that's the biggest lie, is when you're living a lie, you're not who you really are. You're literally living a lie. And it's not about, oh, I have to get rid of all this in my life or whatever. It's just about being you fully. And a lot of the times, whatever's going to naturally not be in your life will fall away. You don't need to be the one getting a machete out and chopping everything down.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest lesson, because that's what I find is always the other lie, is like, oh, I'm finding myself. And when you see people say they're finding themselves, they're macheting their life. And I'm like, that's not the way it happens. When you find yourself, everything just falls apart that isn't supposed to be, and some stuff sticks and some stuff doesn't. There is no machete that comes out.
Well, usually when I hear, I don't know, usually people that say I'm finding myself are young women, and every young woman I've ever heard that says I'm finding myself
is macheting everything.
It's just going around fucking a bunch of dudes. I was like, that just, going out with a different dude every night. I'm like, that's not finding yourself. If you're finding yourself, you're going to go off and be by yourself for a little bit. That's how you find yourself. Like I agree. When I hear that, I'm like, you ain't finding yourself. Every person I've ever met, I mean, yeah, they do that too, but every person I've ever met that says I'm finding myself is doing everything that they can to distract themselves from themselves.
Yeah.
And like I had a client one time got so pissed at me because she came to me and she said, I feel like I've lost myself in my 20-year marriage. Will somebody else come into my life? And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. What? You've been married for 20 years and you lost yourself in the marriage. So you think the solution to that problem is for some fucking stranger to come into your life after you've been in this? No, I said, your best bet would be to walk away from this marriage and go on a healing journey. And then once I'm not saying you have to be fucking glowing and floating on a cloud, but once you've done some healing and you've really started actually finding yourself, then you're going to be vibrating at a different frequency. So then you're a frequency match to a different type of person in a different type of relationship. Oh, she got so pissed and attacked the fuck out of me. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. What she was wanting to hear me say was, yeah, I kicked that dude to the curb, fucking take his house, take half of his shit.
Romeo is coming.
Yeah, Romeo's coming. No, that ain't me, boo-boo. I don't know why you decided to pick me to give you a fucking reading. I don't know. Did you just type in YouTube tarot readers and play eeny, meeny, miny, mo and said, I want this dude? I mean, you watch my videos. I don't sprinkle sugar on my shit at all, but anyway, I kind of trailed off on that.
No, I think that you brought up a best point, because I think that's the biggest lie that people do is like, when they say they're finding themselves, nobody's saying that's actually finding themselves. Mm-hmm. Right? That means that you're playing out a narrative in a script, and that's what you're manipulating people into feeling.
Yeah.
As you are coming up with every excuse of an outside energy source as the problem to your problem. Right? So it's like whenever you attach that this is my problem on the outside, then that's not the problem. There's something in you that's the problem that you need to look into. And that's what so sucks about the awakening experience, is it feels lonely. And you will go through periods of aloneness, and that's actually a sign that you're finding who you are.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's going to be like, gosh, I'm carrying this doubt, this criticism within me. And then really I was putting that as the blame as that situation in my life or that situation. Like the situations that are all coming into your life are by you and what you're experiencing within yourself. Like what are you doing within yourself? Right? And so it's like, okay. And there's times where we have to be there for other people who are on their spiritual quest finding themselves and hold space for them and just be like, and that's what sucks though, is sometimes, you know what? Being a light worker, you'll hold space, somebody will finally find the light, and then they think they found the light, and then they'll machete you out. And then they'll just go, and you know what? 9 times out of 10, those people never become light workers. They go back, and it's like, oh no, and then they went back on their old pattern.
Yeah.
You know? Like that's the whole thing, is like a lot of people out there really don't want to find themselves. And because it really is a journey of massive, you are not in reality anymore.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, most people, the thing about it is it's really not that hard to find yourself. Most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, that self that you're looking for is right in front of your face. You're trying to avoid it. So whenever you remove all the distractions, then you're faced with that thing you've been trying to run from this whole time. And that's the hard part. It's a part of yourself that you haven't lost. You've just been trying to outrun it. You've been trying to run away from it. You've been trying to ignore it because it's, some shit that you have buried deep down inside that you don't want to face. So yeah, you go through that period of loneliness, then you're stuck with these demons and all this unhealed trauma and shit that you have to process through. And it sucks.
It does.
It's not fun, but.
Or you could play the scenario of like, once you've quote unquote, I guess, found yourself, you look back and you go, the whole time, all I had to do was already what I had in front of me in every scenario. I look back at every apartment I was in, every job I was working. I'm like, I had a camera. I had this knowledge. Mm-hmm. I had astrology charts that I could have been doing. I could have back then in 2004 put up an ad. I could have done this. I could have done that. I didn't. Right? So we blame it on so many people, and it's not anybody's fault. It's your own fault. Like, and to use the example of that woman in the 20-year marriage, like, he didn't take her life. She took her own life away. Right? Like, she could have been doing whatever she wanted in that 20-year marriage of her life.
Yeah.
Like, and the fact that she hasn't found it is what triggered her.
Yeah.
Right? And she wanted it to be another relationship, to be another same situation. That now she'll be calling, my daughter as a tarot reader, if she does choose to become one, in 20 years, and be like, oh, I got married again for another 20 years. Aurora, tell me, is there another guy coming in? I'm not a tarot reader. You might be looking for my dad. But it's like that's the truth. Is I always looked at myself like in every scenario, I always go, I wish I knew this info when I was younger, even though I feel lucky that we were pretty young, both you and I, to find it. Yeah. But the truth is I'm like, no, I wish I knew this at 15. I wish I knew this at 16. I wish I knew this. I was recording videos when I was 15.
Yeah.
There was no YouTube. So I already was doing it. And I think that was like the great revelation for me when it was fine. It was like, connecting it back and being like, oh, okay, I had MTV and I did do that. I used that fucking vessel at 21. And thank God I did, because at least that gave me that, like, I wasn't crazy to be filming videos in my room with an old fucking 1980s VCR fucking tape recorder. And like, thank God. So it's never, oh, this is what I'm dealing with and I can't have what I want. No, you can. When you find yourself, you're going to realize that the whole time it's right in front of you. The laptop sitting right there. The everything that you need is right in front of your life right now. Mm-hmm. Even if it's like, no, I need this. No. That's what would be the easy route. What comes before that? It's like you're putting the cart in front of the horse, like you have the horse, you can ride the horse, then you can finally eventually get a cart. But most people want the cart and the buggy before with the horse, they don't want to ride the horse. So, it's like you have right in front of you right now, everything you need to get it done. I mean, especially in today's world. I mean, it's kind of sad because, we live in a world where the free public libraries have internet, right? So you could literally go use ChatGPT for free and go build a website at a public library for free if you were literally bare bones nothing, and literally start changing your life right now. Or you want to start painting, you could easily start going and saying you want to intern and you want to, work your way up and you're willing to learn. And some people might say no, but you have to keep knocking on doors if that's really what you want to do. And it was there the whole time. It's, and I remember when I went to Psychic Eye in LA, and I had moved to LA and I was a reality star. My third reality show by 24 years old. Imagine that. 3 major reality shows that the whole entire fucking America plus more of the world with ABC saw and knew me. People would walk on the street and be like, you're that guy. Like, yeah, I'm that guy. And I walk there and they're like, no, we don't think you're a good fit to do astrology or tarot here. I'm like, what? I was so pissed. But that didn't stop me. You know,
wasn't your door.
Wasn't my door. And honestly, I look back because whenever I used to go back into that place, I used to be like, thank God I never worked here. What a fucking shanty ass fucking spiritual place this place is.
That's the path for you.
You know what I mean? But I was not in that space yet to realize that yet. But you know, it was like, okay, Psychic Eye is on Ventura Boulevard, the one that's in Sherman Oaks. The Sherman Oaks River is where I started my first daily videos every day, which is just the river behind it. Which there is no river, it's just concrete, but that's where it started. So it was in the right spot, just right behind it. It's like, you know, there's an old book called The Alchemist, and it's an amazing book because the whole book is about a guy seeking a treasure, and the whole time he goes across the world, he goes across the desert, he does all this shit, and the whole time it was literally right where he was underneath his feet. Mm-hmm. And people still have forgotten that, or people have forgotten Eckhart Tolle's work of the power of now. That was like my first spiritual book that really like was part of my awakening experience, and it was so simple because it was just like, it is the power is right now. There is no, well, when this moment comes, I'll be able to do this.
Yeah.
And then, oh, you know what? This too shall pass when something is happening that, you know, instead of getting so frustrated over it, like fucking, okay, I know this too will pass. And he's helping you understand time and to let things move on and pass and finding that power of now in the moment and to understand the moment and to be tuned into the moment. The universe is giving you all the signs of what to do or what's right in front of you. It's just whether or not you're going to get up and do anything about it. But we're in a world now where I don't know why, but there was some sort of window about the 80s, a window that opened again in the 90s, a window that opened in the 2000s, and then the last window opened on 2012 and in the 2010s. But it's weird because that window has not opened in the 2020s the normal way. It's now through like this weird social engineered manipulative place. And a lot of people are going to the fake versions of it. And then they have to fall through the fake window in order to finally, you know, I found where it really is, you know, and that's how you know that the dark's taken over quite a lot of places. And I think the biggest lie that'll be exposed to, besides humanity or your individual self, will be how much the people that have been compromised aren't people you think, right? Like people that are out there in this spiritual community that are compromised and why they get those extra bumps or why they get those extra views. Like they're compromised, you know, they might not have had a night with Puff Daddy, but there's a Puff Daddy out there that you don't know about yet, probably, you know. There's a sponsor to a video that is behind it. There's a deeper, weirder, transactional thing going on. And I think like that, if you take everything happening, whether it's COVID to the alien stuff, to all the things that financial, it's all about these secret meetings and deals. And that's what's sad. And I think for me, as being in this industry so long and running my own network without fucking some backdoor deal and without some sort of big fucking sponsor or some sort of fucking investment by some firm or anything like that that's backing me, that it's like, oh, I see through the lens of holding it down on doing my own videos and self-funding so much that I just can see who's compromised so easy. It's so easy to see now. I'm like, oh, you sold out, you know? Oh, everybody who's saying their little fucking crazy ass sponsor that has nothing to do with their channel. Like it makes sense. I was about to say when you were talking about how you just took on that sponsor, you use that shit. It's spiritual as fuck.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't
like that would be like if you were like to just talk about some new potato chip from Lay's.
Yeah, well, it wasn't really a sponsor. It was just an affiliate marketing.
Oh, yeah, I know. But you know what I mean, though?
Yeah,
it's still in alignment with who you are.
Yeah, oh, yeah. That's something I use every day. They just said, here, fill out the application. They gave me a link.
Yeah.
And then I made a video telling my honest opinion on it. And anybody that clicked the link, I got a little 10% commission, you know. So I have people that come to me all the time and they'll ask me, you know, like, hey, will you do like a 5-minute section in your video talking about our video game, or, you know, they'll give me this big long spiel about their video game. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to stop in the middle of my tarot reading and say, by the way, I play this video game and it's fucking awesome and blah, 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 blah. I'm not doing that.
Right.
I'm not doing that. Those people that do that, no, man. No, I don't trust them. I'm not doing that. Now, if it's a product that I use, if you ever see me, so far in my whole tarot career, I've only promoted 2 products, Shilajit and Alpha Brain. You know, the shit Joe Rogan takes. Mm-hmm. Fucking On It used me in an ad too. That was cool as fuck.
Nice.
Because I took my, I did the same thing I did here recently. I did a couple of video reviews on YouTube, and they said, do you care if we use a clip of that? I said, sure, whatever. And I forgot about it. And then I'm scrolling through Facebook one day and I see On It, you know, and it's usually Joe Rogan's face, and it was my face that time. I was like, oh shit, cool. So, but I mean, those are the only 2 products I've ever like promoted. But if you ever see me promoting a product, you're never going to see me promote something that I don't use myself. Like if I'm promoting a product, this is something I fucking use and I'm giving you my honest opinion on it. I'm not going to be the one that's just like, oh yeah, use this skin cream because it makes me look younger when I don't fucking use it. I don't play that shit, you know?
Yeah. I have one more thing to say. I think that subject makes sense. This is going to sound super triggering to people. I'm never on TikTok except for, because I would be lying if I say never. Let's say 1% of my social media experience in my whole life has been TikTok. I've probably spent maybe out of my whole life, maybe 2 hours of scrolling, period. Right? It was like 3 weeks ago. I scrolled for like 2 minutes. And I just can't do TikTok. There's just some, it's not a frequency match at all. There's something off about that motherfucker. But it brought up an ad. And it was like, Rocket Money. Like, do your finances. Now, I know about Mint and I know about some of these cool apps, right? But I pay my tax and accountants to do my accounting. But I was like, you know what? It'd be cool to see. It says free trial, Rocket Money, the app, whatever. And I'm like, I'm going to see, because this is on TikTok. Okay. Like, why is this company trying to help people sort out their money? So I log in. You have to put in all of your bank accounts, all your credit cards. I have like 20 accounts. Okay. So I put all 20 in. It incorrectly does all of my shit because I own 2 corporations. I don't have a 9-to-5. I don't have a paycheck. So it's only built for people that are in 9-to-5 jobs. That it doesn't know how to program because it can't configure out my income. It can't configure out any of my assets. Even when I hooked up my fucking like my credit to it and shit, it couldn't do it. It was like, this is too much of this. The corporations, the corporate credit cards, it couldn't do any of the corporate stuff. It couldn't figure it all out. So it started to just get confused. And then it said, please contact. And I didn't contact them. I'm like, this is so sad that we live in a world where they have engineered you to be a slave. Yeah. All the way to the point to where anybody off grid now is not about living off into the, you live in the same state, but you're on some property that just happens to be surrounded by nature. That makes you off grid? No. What makes you off grid is not being a slave. And this is where people are at. If you live your life where your personal bank account is your life, you're a slave. Because if you understand writing taxes off and living things, and people always say, well, like, oh, you know, the Corporation of the United States, and then when you're born, all of your letters are in capital. It's like, well, why do they say that corporations are people too?
Yeah.
Right? And why is it that under, yes, US IRS in your corp, it's in capital, but fucking in state, my California corp, which my 2 corps are based out of California, are not in capital. So Everything is paid for through my corpse. And do not use my personal bank account just to pay IRS debts or to IRS payments. That's it. My personal bank account gets $1,000 to $1,200 a month max. There's no such thing as me using my personal bank account for it's coming up, 10 years. So that's the sign right there that you're already never going to make it because you're in a personal bank account. Or if you're transferring money from a personal bank account, you should be transferring it from a business PayPal, a business Stripe, a business this into a corporate account and spending the money from the corporate account. Even my rent for my house is paid for to the landlord from my corporate business account. And even my landlord, the real estate agent had to be like, no, and describe to the landlord, this is how he's doing it, right? Like we're in a world where if you aren't doing that, you're a slave at that point because David Palmer is nobody to the system. Nobody. David Palmer is just whatever. But it's weird though that lenders don't look at my credit score. They look at this motherfucking, they don't even look at what I do to make money. They don't even look at, they don't even look at my tax returns. They don't even look at my corporate accounts. They don't even want to. They already see through how many accounts I've had and paid off and the amount of money that I've paid for everything I've bought or that I've had loans for, the amount of dollars, the amount of time. They don't even ask a question. They just go, yep, you're good. Boom. And that's like, it's kind of weird because people go, well, how'd you get here? By not living through my personal bank account. And that rocket money and what TikTok is pushing on people is for you to be a slave. They want you to be a slave, including the way that they're paying TikTokers now. They want them to be off their personal bank accounts. The same thing goes for Instagram and the same thing goes for fucking Facebook. Sophia made her an LLC to get them now to approve a new LLC. And then with the new US law about like, you have to do this crazy thing. If you have a corporation that's, in the first 30 days of 2024, you have to register and get registered with the fucking US government now of like proving yourself federally. And then everybody with a corporation from 2023 to like 2022 has to do it in the first 3 months. That's already just come up. And then if you're from back in the day, like me, I can wait till the end of the year. I'm not going to do it till we get to the end of the year and see if shit falls apart before I'm registering with the fucking government about my corporation. That's what's happening that most people aren't paying attention to. That they're being fed into, if all the tax season's coming up. I don't even file. My fucking tax guy and my fucking accountants do. Accountants. I have multiple accountants. They go through all my bank accounts, tell me what the fuck's give me the fucking my F&I and do it all. And what's so funny is we're at a moment right now where all you see is IRS get your tax money back. Tax money back. It's so like everybody wants the IRS to go away, yet they're all playing the system to get money back from the taxes. That means that they're taking your money. We are the farthest from what people want until people get off that addiction. It sucks. It really does, especially when the Fed stops lending to the banks the billions a day that they've been doing to create money in the economy for loans that is going completely to zero. That banks are going to tighten up already when they've tightened up. And they're only going to give loans out to corps. Because there's a lot of trust in business credit scores are different. Your Duns and Bradstreet number, you are given a score based out of 100. You are given a score based off your risk assessment of the industry you're in. You are given a score based upon, of course, yes, what accounts that you have in the financial world in your corporations. It's a completely different report. It's a completely different world. There's UCC filings. If you have a UCC filing, like people have no idea. We live in a world right now where people want to get out of this 99%, yet they will not even understand what the 1% lives like and does. When it's not that hard, and if you do it through LegalZoom, good luck, because you're going to learn that you don't have to use LegalZoom. It's better to do it on your own. It's better to have you as the agent. It's better for you to be the agent of your own life, which is why the term agent in the Matrix is so interesting, that the only one that is truly free is Agent Smith. So
makes sense. I mean, I don't know. Until I hear you talk about it, I don't even really think about it, because I've been living in my own little bubble world, using my business accounts for fucking years now. I don't even think about that. I haven't even thought about that. You're sitting there talking, I'm like, wait, do I have a personal account? Yeah, I do, but
don't use it.
I don't even know where my personal business debit card is. Exactly. Or my personal debit card. It's it's like hidden in here somewhere.
Exactly. It's gummed up so much and it's never been used. That's always the weirdest thing about a personal bank account. It's like, my personal bank account? I don't even know what the fucking account number is.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's crazy, man. Because like I said, that's what I was saying a minute ago, how I get to live in my own little bubble world, and I just assume that I don't assume consciously. I just kind of subconsciously start thinking that, well, everybody lives like this,
Yeah. So so this will be the good way to end this. What bank accounts are going to go to zero? Corporate or personal?
I didn't even think about that.
Personal.
Oh.
That's what they keep talking about out there. They're not talking about corporate accounts. Because then the corporation could file a lawsuit against the bank corp. So there is no FDIC that deals with corps. They deal with personal accounts. Yes, they deal with business too in a way, but it's a different world. That's why people get banned on fucking social media, because they are not putting their corporate account to their Instagram. So you're just a person that Instagram can just run over the train with, because you cannot file against them, because you're going to have to pay for the lawyer for Meta if you go to a corporate court, and your own lawyer that's going to be a corporate lawyer in corporate law. So you're going to go into a corporate fucking trial. And that is a different trial than a personal trial or a civil trial. So it's like, because they're never going to stop the engines that work. The engines that don't work, that are the exhaust out of the engine that just goes into places like catalytic converters, basically, are people's personal accounts. That's what they're going to stop. They're not going to stop the engines that make money and turn America, right? They're going to stop the personal account and make everybody, I need to survive, when all the corporate accounts are going to be still fine. Because that's what's great about the Federal Trade Commission. When you're a personal person, you're on the other side of the Federal Trade Commission. You're the fucking consumer. The corporation is never the consumer. So I hope that wakes the fuck everybody up about this whole money thing, and realizes that whenever I bought crypto, I've never did it on my fucking corporate accounts.
Yeah.
That's why Coinbase has Coinbase Pro for corporations. What do you think all these ETFs and all these people, what are buying all this stuff? Corporations, not people. Right? So we're in a world right now where if you're living in a personal account, that's when I would be nervous. If you have a corporation, LLC, don't worry. They're not fucking with that. They're fucking with the personal. Because that's most of America, and that's where the citizens, the corporation is not a citizen. The corporation, now what's weird about, well, I'll say this last two facts. An S and a C corporation, the only agent that can register for one and the president or CEO of it can only be a United States citizen. LLCs can be international. So when you're dealing with a corp, you're dealing with not a citizen, even though that's what's required to get it. It puts it into a new, you're in a different place. You're in a different stature. You're in a different code group. You're in a corporation code group that completely separates you from the persons and the citizens and what the whole entire thing is coming against right now. They're not coming after corporations to stop that. They're coming after the persons that work jobs, ironically through corporations, because the same stuff that happened in 2020 and 2021, what did they do? The mandates of OSHA for vaccines were against corporations with 100 employees or more. Why? In that, they didn't say that the officers of the corporation had to take the shot, that the employees did. OSHA is about employees. Who enforces OSHA laws? Not OSHA, corporations. To employees. So if you're an employee, you're ready. If you're also a sole proprietor, you're looked at as the same thing. And that's what they're coming after. And I hope people wake up from that. Because it was like the God, I feel, the universe, the awakening experience has been trying to tell people, wake the fuck up. Get out of the corporation of the United States and go be your own corporation. Now you're at the same parallel with the United States corporation. You're looked at with power and respect because it's the same thing. What's the difference? A corporation's a corporation. The United States is a corporation. It's going to look at another corporation on the same level. But if you're just a person, you're your person. Okay, those are the bank accounts they're all going for. That's what they did too. They didn't say in 1933 when they did the fucking financial reset and fucking changed the gold and they took everybody's person's gold, right? They went to the lock boxes, even at all the fucking don't ever keep your gold or don't ever keep anything, right? At a fucking bank. But they already knew where all the gold was. They already knew that the persons that had their lockbox, not the corporate accounts, the persons. So that's where it's going to get really creepy is how many people are going to be affected. 75 to 80%. There'll be a 20% that will be okay because they have corporate accounts and they can move the money there. And that's why you're seeing all the crypto be bought and the ETFs being built, because that's all protected behind corporate shells. So it's going to be personal accounts.
Damn.
And there's no way for you to make a corporation deal. So put it this way, my electric bill here at the studio is a corporation with the electric company. Then at my house, it's my personal. I get a completely different tier of pricing, availability of electricity, no blackouts. So they don't do rolling blackouts or any of that shit with corporate because they know there's a business. Same thing with my internet here. You've seen how fast my internet here. It's fucking, you can't even get it in personal, right? It's fucking 2.5 gigabytes per second, up and down, right? No downtime, guaranteed. Bring your money back. Personal, oh shit, the internet's out tonight, or it's kind of slow. So they throttle people. Corporations, full blown. You get it all. Right? Different wiring goes to corporate accounts. That's why there's zoning. So they zone everything. So even if you think about where's a safe city, where's a safe place in a city, wherever the corporate zoning is, not the personal housing zoning. That's where FEMA will go. They're not going to go to the corporate zoning. It's all about zoning in life, right? But the way that I'm treated as a corporation with accounts as I am as a person is completely different. And even the people on the phone on the other side are different. So that's where it's going to be. It's going to be, sorry, everyone. How are they going to bring on a digital currency? How are they going to bring on shots again? How are they going to bring on all fucking everybody over? Persons. But what will always protect you is when you're when you're a corporate owner and you're a corporate officer in your own corporation, an LLC or an S Corp or a C Corp, you don't play by the same rules. The OSHA law does not affect you. It doesn't ask the shot for you. It asks the shot for your employees. So it's written not about excluding you. It's intentionally written to be like, we just want the employees, right? Or the same thing goes about tax laws. Same thing goes about your Like, who are they going to give power to? The corporations, because that's a corporate law that you can't fuck over a corporation in a business contract without delivering. Your contract with the consumer is different. The Consumer Protection Agency ain't going to do much when it comes to godlike events, but godlike events in corporation world don't count. You have to come through and you got to deliver to that corp, right? Or they can come back at you. So like they're going to just keep delivering to the corp stuff and watch. And that's where it's like kind of like, it's like an island of people that are just going to be like living in this world that still have connection and can still move the money, because a corporation will be able to move money to another international corporation, but a person can't. It's going to be wild. So I hope that helps people figure it out.
Maybe. Some will, some won't. We're going to get out. We're going to pop out the other side one way or the other, though. It's just some people are going to have a really, really bad time, and others won't.
Or here, last thing. What happened in 2020? I didn't take it, but I know people who did. They gave out, I think to married couples, it was like $2,400, right? In 2020, like to Americans, right? It was like $1,200 if you were single, or $2,400 to a married couple. Trump and, right, a signature and a check, right? But what did they offer corporations for money? It was called the PPP loan, right? So if you were a corporation and you got shut down, you could show the government, this is what my tax returns were over the last 3 years. Okay, you need $200K? That's we're taking maybe 20% of what you made. You made $1 million or whatever. Here you go. Here's $200,000, and you can pay back through the SBA fucking program that we've created through that program over 10 years or whatever, and da 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 da. So corporations got money. But I said no because they were like, you're going to be audited automatically without knowing, because if that, whatever bank account it goes to corporate wise, we're going to audit that account. So if you bought, that's why those guys who bought Lamborghinis and shit with that, they got caught. But the idea is the understanding that why was it that the normal average Joe that doesn't have a corporation got $2,400, but you had the option to stay open and do whatever the fuck you wanted as a corporation in life, and to do whatever, and had the opportunity to gain money from the governments or private equity or wherever you wanted to go. They didn't stop that. So using the same algorithm with what's coming, the same shit's going to happen. It's going to all look different, but it's going to be the same situation again. They're out to fuck people who don't protect themselves, because a corporation is a protective shell. So if somebody sues me over my business, they don't sue me, they sue the corporation. It doesn't affect me personally. I don't go to jail. I don't go to whatever, right? The corporation deals with it. And then there's a settlement, or you lose because that's wrong. And there was terms of service. There was privacy policy. There was all these things. People don't have that in their life. So.
Be a big wake-up call. Hopefully, maybe.
So I think that's the big, to me, that's the big lie that will be exposed, is that the people's power is strong and it only is spiritually. So that's not a lie. But when it comes to how they're living their lives, they're living the biggest lie right now. And that's why you hear Joe Biden with corporate greed, because it then puts into the people like, yeah, well, if I'm a corporation, then am I greedy?
Yeah.
So.
It'll be exposed.
Or why every crypto, most of them, like all the altcoins and shit, like Ripple makes XRP. They're a corporation. Or MicroStrategy, who owns a shit ton of Bitcoin. They make money off the stock of owning a bunch of Bitcoin as a corporation. And the traders that invest in a MicroStrategy make money based upon that. The money's not being made off people because they hold Bitcoin. The money's being made by the big corporation that holds Bitcoin, that makes more money, that you invest in a stock in, that gets more. That is where so many people are retarded. that they think I'm going to go buy a little bit of a bag and I'm going to become rich. Like that is not how it works.
Yeah.
And we are at a world to where that you thought that the corporate world would go away. If anything, it's never going to go away. It's what's always been around through history, including the English and the empires. They used corporations to shell off to make it look like it was a company, but it was really them enforcing their arm of the government, you know? Like, so that's what the British Empire did. So the idea that people are, again, stuck into the same pattern of history again, that's what I'm worried about.
I'm not, because like I said, they're going to do it all. They're going to orchestrate this so that everybody understands in the end. Doesn't mean everybody's going to have fun. A lot of people are going to have a really, really bad time. But by the time it's all said and done, the majority of the population will be able to look back and understand it, why it happened, and everything that you're saying right now. It's going to make sense to them one day. It may not make sense right now. There may be some people that hear that and they're getting all pissed off and whatnot. It'll make sense. Give it 2 years. By the time 2026 rolls around, that'll all make sense.
I agree. And for anybody on the fence about this will make them really think, are you a United States corporation or a state corporation? You're a state corporation. So when all this shit goes down, when the states start to go weird and they talk to the citizens, they're talking to the people of the citizens. But if you are a corporate officer of a corporation in that state, you are treated differently in that. So it'll get down to those kind of things. It'll get down to those weird, like always the place of safety is always, including what did the United States do for safety? It became a corporation. So. People, if I were to tell anybody what the safest bet would be become a corp. An LLC, an S Corp, or if you want to go crazy, C Corp, good luck. I mean, you have to do quarterly reports and fucking shit, but remain as a private one. That's what Elon Musk is through X. It's a private C Corp. And we don't know all the holders in the back. Well, keep awakening. We'll see you in Texas. Bastrop. teamlightstore.com/events. $333. It's going to be, I can't even believe that they just sent out a thing. I think there's some rooms left. So you better get your ticket now because the whole area, I couldn't believe all the eclipse videos on the news about it. Like the whole area of Texas, everywhere, like rooms. We have, I think, 14 more rooms left.
Yeah.
To where you can actually be at the fucking eclipse, and it's only $333, and we both have promo codes. I think yours is RichLop10, and I'm
Rich 10.
Or Rich 10, and I'm Leo King 10 for 10% off that. And then we have like 14 more rooms left out of hundreds of rooms that they had a block about. So if you want to go see the eclipse, and we're talking, that's cheap, like that's super cheap.
Yeah.
And be with us, and be part of this experience, and with all the other amazing speakers that are going to be there. And be at the clips and hang out and watch this show live in Texas and watch our talks and be part of the whole experience. Like it's going to be badass. So hope to see you there. Much love. See you in the next one. Adios.